throw a dice up there.
Why'd you go to the hospital? I was attacked by my DM's dogs for pretending to be a ferret.
Mics are live.
No,
Don't be racist.
Not again. Yeah, your food's here in the middle.
I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm going to get that in a minute as soon as I confirm that this is...
Who has a golden D20? Because that's your food now.
This is in fact working. Stream
Carlos
Manager says...
Yes.
That it
It's
is.
me.
So we're going to trust that it is.
Are you going to use that for one of your portraits?
I still have my portents from last week.
Oh yeah.
So I rolled in the beginning of the day.
So we haven't used any spells.
Please, he probably won't use it to build a hammock.
That was the best possible use of my sweet 2-story tall nature preserve.
If you say so.
Hey, I thought peeps were the best use.
They were a use.
It was certainly a use.
I have been trying to figure out how to make like a sugar bone peep.
Please don't.
We made peeps. Didn't we make peeps for
We
cards?
made marshmallows.
Like I know I can definitely make marshmallows. And I know I can definitely make like skeletons made out of like candy. But combining them together would be
Difficult.
challenging.
I almost bought peeps this week.
I didn't know.
It is the season. It's always the season. You can get the pink ones now. The pink and blue ones are now common as opposed to just the yellows. I think yellow is like year round.
I didn't know marshmallow was like a plant. I just assumed it was like you take a whole bunch of sugar and do something to it, and that makes a marshmallow.
There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, oh, this highly refined nonsense candy is actually like a real thing in real life that grows in the ground.
Like, yeah, marshmallows are root.
Like root beer?
They used to use that. I think now they use gelatin and sugar and...
Don't look up what gelatin is if you don't know what it already is. Unfortunate.
What's the better thing is what isn't gelatin?
It's
a short
if you
list.
haven't done so already.
It isn't the good parts of the
I haven't. Oh good, there's a knife here. I need to put that away for the rest of my... Tonight's episode will be featuring very aggressive DMing.
Is that why you asked us to switch places?
Yep.
Oh
I
no!
need Fidget to be in stabbing distance.
we have 3 to 5 plot points to go over in this episode alone. We have to stay on task.
If we don't, I'm a garbage.
That's right.
Oh my god. Is it where peeps?
As they
Comes
say,
out.
as they say in DM school, it is now.
As Nula will bravely give herself going, I've got them!
Take me! I want to be one of you.
I already have marshmallow.
I volunteer as tribute.
What curses and buffs would a were peep get? Besides like bludgeoning damage, immunity, or resistance.
Color spray.
A haste from the sugar rush, followed by extreme exhaustion and nausea.
I like color spray. I don't know that a peep would eat itself to like use up its own resources to survive.
Wouldn't it be like a gelatinous ooze? Gelatinous ooze?
It's one of those birds.
A peep?
Gelatinous peep.
Hard to say.
But he's thinking about it.
It could be anything, really. I'm in the entire wrong notebook for this campaign. Okay, better. Alrighty.
They had birthday cake peeps and watermelon peeps.
Yeah.
In reality,
Yeah, I just saw them at the
Oh.
grocery store this
I don't think flavored peeps are a good plan. Maybe like birthday cake is fine because it's just like bonus sugar, but I don't know. I can't imagine
Bonus
watermelon peeps being great. I'd try them. That's I guess for next episode of We Try Weird Shit.
Mm-hmm. I've done gingerbread peeps because at the holidays they have peeps that are actually gingerbread
Yeah.
shaped.
I feel like I might have had this. I ate a lot of peeps when I worked at the grocery store. Like, it was not okay. They were going for like 10 cents a tray.
They're delicious.
10 cents a tray. That's crazy. Welcome to Tabletop Legends. Happy Tuesday. If you are joining us on Twitch, please let us know if anything is weird.
Besides this.
Besides our behavior and mental state. We did some tinkering with our stream computer over this last week, and we just like replugged everything in. So if anybody is quiet or something seems to not be working, and you catch it before we do, please let us know in chat.
Carlos, can you dupe that down for you guys? Just
as they dupe microphones, I will say, welcome to Tabletop Legends. This is episode 36. We think. I still haven't caught up on like editing and uploading everybody. So we're pretty sure this is episode 36. If you are joining us here live on Twitch, thank you for tuning in. Please be sure, if you have not done so, to subscribe and follow Proficiency Bonus, not only for our content, but for all fun and fantastical D&D and nerdy content every day of the week here on Proficiency Bonus. If you're watching this at a later date on YouTube, we are Tabletop Legends on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, give us a like, leave a comment, hit the notification icon, sign over your firstborn, whatever new thing YouTube comes up with in the future. Give them ideas. That's true, we shouldn't. I would also like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Marble Moon Studios and the 8th House, as well as Little Dragon Corp. You can type ! Little Dragon in the chat at any time during tonight's episode and be provided with a link to Little Dragon Corp's website where you can buy all sorts of fun, dicey, and tabletop goodness. And you can use... Ooh, you can knock your microphone all over the place. You can use our special code PROBONUS, PROBONUS, for a discount on your order. So please be sure to give them a look if you are interested in painting some new dice for you, because you are a dice goblin with a terrible, terrible crippling addiction. Just like Becca. Hey! Let's jump into the recap and get a move on. I want to get through a lot of stuff I want to get through tonight. I'm very excited. We rejoin the party in the village of Malat'ka that I have put the map to upside down. But that's okay. It's facing me for once. Nope, just leave it. It took me 15 minutes to get it in the position where it is now on microphone. We're just going to deal with it. They were in the village of Malat'ka in the kingdom of Honorand, where they have been guided by a tabaxi sort of adventurer slash guide named Feather on the Wind to this village, where there's folklore of a place called the Scarred Land that Namara of the Collective of the Arcane Eye wants the party to investigate, believing that it is possible that it is actually an Invarnian ruin instead of a sort of cursed, haunted place as the people of this village believe. However, upon arriving, the party have found the people of the Malat'ka tribe not only cautious of outsiders, they have found them dealing with some problems of their own. Based on a little bit of the information that they were able to gather after making their case to the village elders of the Malat'ka tribe and convincing them to let the party at least take a stab at trying to help, it sounds like the village might be having some were-creature issues. A series of attacks have occurred about once a month towards the end of the full moon over the past 5 months. 4 attacks have occurred. The first one on a huntress to the northeast of town. The second attack occurred on a fisherman, a net fisherman, in the southern portion of town. I can use my pointer. Beep. The southern portion of town. The third and fourth attacks occurred on the same night in a hut on sort of the southeastern portion of the village on the outskirts. In the first and second attacks, both of the individuals attacked were alone and did not survive. Their bodies were found later. In the third and fourth attacks, one individual was killed, but her partner survived and is currently struggling to recover from their wounds, fighting off an infection and a fever and some bad injuries sustained by the attacker. That is the information that the party was given, as well as being given free rein to move about the village and the surrounding area to investigate the matter, look into it, and see if there's anything they can do to help. You guys do also know you are about 7 days from the full moon at this point. So you have a bit of time to do investigating. If it is in fact a were creature, you have some time before you are worried about another attack occurring. So at this point, I will turn it back over to you, as you are at the sort of the north edge of town, up here, near this sort of totem area up here, having discussed things with the village elders and been given permission to travel about the town and look into this matter for them.
I thought we were going to see the partner.
Again?
You definitely.
Yeah.
And you two, since you speak some of the languages, should go with Nula.
All right.
Well, at least one of us.
Not
necessarily both.
I didn't put a mini out there. Feather on the Wind is with you as well. You can kind of tell me what you want to do with her. She can go and take your horses and like chill out. She can stick with some of you for at least for the time being.
If she takes the horses, we're never going to see them again.
Does she want to come with me, since she seems to have a little bit of buy-in
She can.
from?
Yeah.
All right.
Or do you want to bring her with you?
So
I want to get a look at the attack site and on the 2 attack sites that are in the village. So
Okay. So the that would be area, I believe, 3 and 4 on the map there. So there and there.
I'd also like to check out the attack sites. We can work them together if you want. I mean, we have 7 days.
Yeah.
So
Probably 3 for me. I don't. I think crowding this injured person with a whole mess of people.
Sure.
And putting her around their house.
Can
Not a
only
good
end
idea.
well.
Okay, so if I'm understanding, Walter and Alar are heading towards Area 3 together.
Yeah. If I could borrow one of you, since you speak.
Who has better bedside manner?
Jeez.
Who is neither of you?
Well, it's the question
Well-
of which one of you wants to go with which one of us.
You're making me make a choice.
Well, Nula is going to number 1 with Feather on the Wind, right?
Oh, that's
I mean,
where
I
she's
volunteered.
being-
2 of them are going to 3. It just is a question of where are the 2 of you going.
Well, they each want one of us to go with them.
Right. So
And-
which one of you is going with which of them?
I volunteered you to heal them.
So does that mean you're coming with me?
I don't know.
And Rom's going to start.
Who has better
using the
bedside
gambling
manner?
ring in the.
Okay.
I see
You
what
go
you-
with Nula, and I'll go with Knucklehead number 1 and Knucklehead number 2.
Done.
Alrighty.
Go Team Accidental Crime.
Why not one representative from each of the delegations go ahead and roll me a d20, and whoever gets the higher number we'll resolve first.
13.
Okay.
4.
4. All right. So, Fidget, Nula, and Feather on the Wind. You guys start making your way. Well, you all sort of make your way south together.
Yep.
In the center of the sort of town here, there is one big old tree. The roots of which are quite large and expansive and rise up above the ground. And you see that there are a number of like hollow spaces beneath the roots of the trees, either naturally formed or having been dug out by the people of the Malat'ka tribe to create like chambers in and beneath this tree. You guys peel off, at about here and start heading down in this direction. And as you guys separate, head that way, the 3 of you wait out here, and Feather on the Wind sort of turns to you and she says, all right, what is your plan with the injured person?
I want to see if I can cure them from the infection that's plaguing them right now.
And get information from them about what attacked them.
You sound the plan. I can stay out here if you do not wish to crowd them, unless you believe you need to have me translate for you.
I think maybe you should give them the heads up that I do use magic and I don't want them to be scared or panicked any more than they might already be.
Very well. I will head inside and at least see. I assume this is where their medicine people or shamans, whatever they have in this tribe, reside. Give me one moment. I will talk to them.
Okay.
She disappears inside for just a couple of minutes and comes back out and says, all right, they are willing to let you see the injured woman. They have already received word from the village elders that the group of northerners are here in the village and will be attempting to help with the attacks that they have been suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I have explained to them in at least some general terms that you are a healer. I did not get too much more specific than this, as I did not want to give them the impression that you are a wielder of forces that they will not understand and likely misinterpret as dark magics. She looks at you and she goes, I said nothing of you. Don't cast any lightning while we are inside the tree, please.
I'm doing our investigating, just gonna fire in the middle of town.
She says one of their medicine people is inside. The woman in question is awake for now, so you may go in and speak to her. And again, I can stay here if you think it is better for less of us, or I can enter if you need me to help translating for you. If you think the goblin language will not be enough.
I think two are better than one.
We go
Two translators.
Oh, I see. I was like, your math is wrong. Very well. I shall come in as well.
It's more like 1.5.
So I start to enter
Okay.
the tree.
So you enter into the tree, and the chamber that you enter into, essentially the walls of this chamber are all very tightly packed and compressed earth. Definitely has been dug out of beneath the tree. You see there is a small fire going in one of the corners. What looks like essentially like a chimney leading up between two sets of roots is allowing the smoke and the heat to sort of vent up and out of this chamber. There is a number of woven cots, essentially made out of frameworks of rough-hewn wood and woven together reeds and grasses and things to make this sort of netting. Currently, only one of them is occupied. You see a woman towards the back of the chamber. The woman whose name you were told was Nava. Yes, this is correct. The woman whose name you were told was Nava. She's laying on her back. She is her legs are covered by a blanket. Her upper torso, she has been disrobed, but the entire front of her essentially is covered by this mat of what essentially looks like salves and ointments and patches. You can see around the edges of where these woven medicinal herbs lay. There are sort of the purple hemorrhaginous regions surrounding some sort of pretty bad lacerations across like the whole front of her torso. One side of her face is similarly like covered with bandages. You can just see sort of one eye is just kind of like she's just sort of staring a little foggily up at the ceiling of this chamber. A slightly older woman is in the chamber as well. She's currently kind of fussing over mixing a bunch of like ointments and crushing herbs in like a mortar and pestle. You take her to be the medicine woman. She is kind of like looking at you over her work, but just kind of stays out of your way.
Okay. I will go up to the woman laying in the bed.
So as you kind of make your way over, you see like her one good eye turns, and a little bit of like a quizzical expression comes over her face, but she otherwise doesn't really react to you.
Okay. Nava, I'm Nula. I'd like to help you.
She kind of looks, doesn't seem she understands you.
Can you help?
Nava.
She sort of notices that you're there. Says,
My companion and I were fated to be here for your time of need.
This is in Goblin, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking common. It's really helping the situation.
Yeah, he speaks very loudly in common.
We're here to help.
Yeah. She kind of crinkles her one good eyebrow, and in Goblin she says, "No, understand. Big words. Goblin not good."
Companion is a healer, touched by the divine.
Healer. She sort of like weakly raises one arm. Healer. Pointing at Nula. She says, medicine, woman, healer already.
I have different healing powers.
Nula has the power of the god. A god. Which god?
Oh god.
That part's in common. That part's in common.
It's okay, we'll wait.
Jeff, the god of biscuits.
That's it, yeah, Jeff.
Jeff the G.
Jeff, the god of biscuits.
Becca.
Health?
What was the question?
Smash cut to Helm being like,
As the other gods are just sitting there.
I was reading up on Pathfinder all week and I'm like, Sarah Gray? No, wrong game!
I want to say Rick.
She says, healer.
Do the sparkle thing.
Good.
Do the sparkle thing.
We do the sparkle thing. I want her to say yes before I do the sparkle thing.
This was supposed to be a high impact moment.
I'm doing the sparkle thing.
Are you telling Nula to spite the injured person?
No, just like make her hand glow or something.
Okay. I'm not an artist.
She's like watching you guys like bicker back and forth. She seems a little lost as to what's going on.
Just kill me now.
Well, would you let my friend try to help you?
She says. She sort of looks past you to the like the older medicine woman in the room, and she switches over to her their native tongue there, and says something, to which the older woman replies, and Feather in the Wind, kind of as she's like lurking in the shadows behind you guys, out of sight of this woman, sort of whispers to you guys. She says, she asked the medicine woman if it was safe for the outsiders to try and help her. The medicine woman says she does not know, but the village elders have allowed you into the village. She looks back to you, Fidget, and she says, help heal how?
She wants to know how you're going to help. Do you want to do the glowing hand now?
I don't want to do the glowing hand now.
You're going to have to do it at some point.
Once she says, okay. I don't want to scare her.
You said you have the divine power to heal people.
But just say...
I feel like a glowing hand sells that pretty well.
With power of...
With the power of Helm.
She looks back to the medicine woman again, and looks back to you, and looks back to the medicine woman, and she says, okay.
And I will very,
She
very...
said okay.
very slowly, gently do lay on hands for 10.
Okay. You lay on hands for 10.
And 5 HP to cure either a disease or neutralize a poison.
Yep.
Poison.
So you place your hands over the kind of center of her sternum, and after a moment they glow with divine energy, and she sort of sharp intake of breath. She nervously looks down with her one good eye. But after a few moments, as she doesn't, nothing terrible happens. She actually and she sort of peels back one of the patches a little bit. To which the medicine woman in the corner goes she sort of looks. Helm. Tell her thank you.
She says thank you.
I will just nod to her.
You're not being stingy, are you?
No.
Okay. This is our best chance to make a good impression.
I will. You can ask her if she thinks she needs more healing.
I want you to think about under what circumstances someone would say no.
That was the trial. Would you like the full service? Probably 100% be selling that.
This was your 10 hit point trial. Would you like to sign up for?
Can you tell her that I am sorry for her loss?
It's a rather abrupt non sequitur, don't you think?
Like
My friend says she's sorry for your loss and hopes you feel better.
She sort of casts her eyes, nods a little.
And we thought Fidget was going to
Thank you. Why are you come to Malat'ka? Not outsiders come a lot.
We came to go to the Scarred Lands. I believe
Bad place.
we were fated to be here to help you and your people.
Okay. You heal? Or seems to be searching for the word. She turns towards the medicine woman. She says something questioningly. And the medicine woman kind of like shrugs, and still from the shadows, feather in the wind goes. She replies, says something in Goblin. She says, "The word is fight." She looks. She doesn't quite see who said it, but she turns back to you. Says, "You heal. You fight. Which is..."
She heals. Friends fight. I know.
Okay. Monster. She's just like looking at you.
And I don't understand it.
It's all in Goblin.
Okay.
She's saying monster. Can I ask her if she saw it?
You can ask her. She probably wants to know what it was.
Did you see monster?
Little. Dark. In nighttime. Asleep when come. Fast. Big. Like man, but not man. She seems to be searching for a word again, and she says in Goblin, "Other one who knows my words, not know." And then she switches over to her own language and says a couple of things. And from behind you, Feather on the Wind says, "She says it was like a man, but it has a head of a tiger." And she, you hear her like take several steps back away from you guys, and she kind of like switches to common, and she says, "Perhaps it is better if she does not put eyes on me. It might frighten her." She relays something kind of from the distance back to the woman, who nods and says, "Like man, but not man. Head like tiger. Stronger. Faster. When attack, call for help. Others come, escape, run through wall of home. Through wall like nothing. Strong." She shakes her head. "This all I see. This all I know."
Do you know if it took anything? Was looking for anything?
And she shakes her head, and you see like kind of the rim of her one good eye gets a little red. She says, "No. Only come. Attack. Run when others come. Nothing else.
So I will tell Newell everything that I've been told. Do we think we... I don't know if she knows anything else.
I think letting her...
I could try to detect her thoughts while she's thinking about what happened, and maybe I can get a clearer picture. But
I think we have enough to go on for right now.
I mean, I might do a better job of trying to find it if I know what it looks like more particularly than like a man but not a man, Tiger said.
I just think that, you know, it took a lot for her to trust us, and I'd rather step away right now, having built that trust, and if we need more clarification later, coming back.
We can ask and she can say no. I'm not good at reading people. I'm trusting your judgment.
I'm saying come back.
Okay.
All right. So as you guys kind of come to this conclusion, Feather in the Wind like backs out of the chamber once like it becomes clear you guys have decided to like leave her, and you know very quickly like gets out of sight, so as not to, based on the sort of similarities between her own appearance and the thing that she's claiming you know attacked her.
Yeah.
Makes sure as to like not be seen by the woman. And leaves from the chamber, and then you know you guys are able to kind of make your exit as well. As you leave, the medicine woman like gets up, and you see her go over and begin like fussing with the bandages and looking at the state of the injuries after you kind of did your healing. And as you guys leave and go back outside, we will sort of time rewind here to sort of simultaneously as that is going on. Further to the south of the village, over by this small little fishing dock area here, as the three of you guys make your approach. It takes you a little bit of doing and a little bit of Brahm finding somebody with enough Orcish to like get you like sort of point you to where you need to go. And what you learn even before you get there going in is that like since the attack occurred, this place and you will find similarly at the hut if you go there afterwards, the people of the village are like refuse to go near the area. Their superstition is in full swing. They have no idea what it is that is attacking people. You know, they're calling it like a night demon essentially, and they want nothing to do with the place that the attacks occurred, lest it draw the evil spirit to them. So when you get there, even though it has been quite some time since the attack occurred, you find the scene untouched by any of the people of the village. You arrive by the riverbank. There's a couple of like short docks. There are a few like canoes that have been moored up on the side of the riverbank there. The body has been removed. That's gone. And it's been long enough time that any like blood and stuff like that is washed away or sunk into the ground. There are a few sort of prominent things that you see. Over by one of the canoes, which has been like overturned and set on dry ground, you see there is like a paddle for one of them that is broken in the middle. There is a fishing net, just sort of like in a heap, 5-10 feet from the edge of the water. As you approach, the kind of like the slight stank of rotting fish tells you that like if this has just been left here since he pulled it out of the water with fish in it, they're just like rotted in the net. And yeah, that's about all the prominent features of this area. Otherwise, it's just like a muddy side of side of a river with a little bit of a wooden dock built.
Are locals like anywhere near the area in vision?
No.
Awesome.
I mean, that you're aware of. I should say.
Yeah.
Perception.
Dude.
So poof, Morgan appears.
Yep. And
Scooter's back.
And there's no screams from the woods, so you guys got away with it.
There's one more thing I need to do. I'm gonna disguise self as a Sherlock Holmes guy.
All right, yep, you do that.
My investigation mustache on.
Do you have a pipe?
I can't have a pipe because that'll be like ethereal and not doing anything.
He has a deer stalker
Does
hat.
probably have a pipe.
I'm going to head to the paddle and
Sure.
take a close look. Does it look like a weapon snapped it or a?
You can make an investigation check.
I'm gonna check the woods. That's
Okay.
My
24.
All right. What are you doing, Brom, as they're doing that?
Where are they not? Like, what's left?
He's
to
looking at the
search?
paddle. He's kind of looking at the wooded area around here. There's the fishing net.
I'll look at the gross bit.
All right, you can also make it. You both make investigation checks.
Do you
to
want to
see if it is.
swap and I can just mage hand it so I don't have to touch it?
It wasn't great. I think it's 3.
I got a 17.
17 years was like 24.
3.
Alrighty, so you.
This is my opinion, but this is a net.
Yeah, you sort of you kind of kick at it. You get like a stick and you start poking at it. It looks like a net with there's some mostly rotted away fish carcasses in it. There's nothing aha! I found a clue that strikes you about the net. As Alar, as you go over and you kind of look at the two halves of this paddle, you get the impression. So the break is not clean as if as if something had chopped it. It's it's a jagged break. You almost get the impression that maybe somebody hit something with it and broke it against something. And with the 24, as you sort of nudge at the two halves, you see the handle half, not the paddle half. The handle half, the jagged edge, you sort of take a look, and you see wedged between two little slivers of the wood, there's 3 or 4 maybe yay long, 3-inch long, coarse black hairs. No blood or anything like that, just a couple of hairs.
Okay.
Yeah. Walter, what you see is you kind of you sort of stalk the tree line along here. With your investigation, the only thing that you consider maybe as a clue is off to this side of the area, maybe 10 feet into the trees, you find there's a sapling with a low branch that has been snapped and is sort of dangling. The leaves are dead, as if something came through that way and brushed past it and broke it on the way past.
I guess I'll cast message at Alar.
You guys are 20 feet from each other.
He's gotta get the magic out of
Just
his
to
system now.
be clear.
So yeah.
Not to discourage you, but he is
How far is 20 feet? It's over. Okay, fine.
Yeah, he's from you to the stairs.
Quiet talking distance. Okay. Yeah, I'll just. How'd that fish go, bro? Didn't find any clues in there. Found a broken stick.
Great.
I'm going to edge a little bit away from him because he's probably looking even greener than usual.
You want to be in the splash zone?
I'm going to once again glance around, then use Mage Hand to pull the hairs and put them in a twist of
bag.
twist of rag. Yes.
And then he puts on his sunglasses.
Yes. Pretty sure these came off of the critter. But there's no blood.
I mean, it looks like it came from the east over there along the river. If you want to try to backtrack the trail.
After this long, probably won't get much, but we'll give it a go. All right, Scoots. He unrolls the twist, lets Scooter take a sniff. Scooter probably dives back into his coat. Okay, you're scared. That's wonderful. I'm scared too. I need your help. So, set Scooter down, and you'll make a
survival check.
That's a 19. I don't know what Weasel gets. Probably
good enough. Regardless, good enough to get the only information that you're going to get. Okay. Is that besides sort of a little bit similar to what you found, a couple of like broken sticks. Mm-hmm. There's no scent or anything like that to follow. It's been too long, mm-hmm. but you. No. Oh.
No, it's just not quite there.
It wasn't pointed. You get the impression that this path mm-hmm. sort of arcs like this way, rather than like the river continues kind of like this way. But you don't really get much further than like, a couple 100 feet further down, sort of in this general direction before like there's nothing to find at this point.
Does it seem like it loops back towards like another part of the village?
Not that you can tell.
Okay, so
you essentially get like, boop, this way. Could it come like from over here? Could have, come down like this? Could have come through somewhere else in the village in this way? The only thing you're fairly sure about is that it didn't come from like up from the south,
okay,
or from like across the river probably.
Okay, that would jive. The first attack they mentioned was to the north.
It was up here, northeast.
So chances are that's where this thing came from, to the north. Are the Scarletlands to the north?
Are they?
You don't know.
I'll send Morgan up above the tree line and then see if she can see anything like in.
Yeah, she sees this essentially.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing of any like.
Let's check. Yeah, let's check back in with Nula and Fidget. I don't see any smoke rising and hear any screaming, so.
That's actually a good point. Is there anything we can't see because of the trees that Morgan can see since she's flying?
No.
And then we'll check, if we have permission to, check the hut that was attacked most recently. So we head back toward
4. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's head back and meet up with the others.
Sure. So you guys are sort of exiting. We'll say they're on their way back. You guys reconvene around here in the center of the village.
Fidget, do you think you could locate this thing if you had something from it?
I sure could try. It's going to depend how close it is.
I hold out the twist of fabric with a few hairs.
I will take the hair. I can only do this once.
We'll hold off on that for the moment. Because if it's not, chances are it's not going to be close until the full moon. So let's wait until maybe a day out. Yeah, you're right. You're going to lose those.
They're going to get braided into his fabric.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to check the last hut?
Yeah. Let's check where the last attack was.
Mm-hmm. On the way, I will explain what was said to us, but in a low tone of voice so we don't upset the villagers.
Who can't understand us?
Most of them
What
can.
language
Some,
are you using?
there might be somebody that speaks a bit common here, in no sense,
I probably would have fetched them.
Are you going to relay the part where Feather on the Wind was being super shady?
I wasn't being shady.
Not shady. Scared of like being outed as the problem.
No, not
Feather
necessarily
on
that.
the
It was-
Wind is
the lady
a
was
strong
like-
woman who can speak for herself.
Okay.
I mean, she said that she was attacked by a giant tiger thing, and Feather on the Wind is kind of a cat lady.
Yeah.
So
If questioned,
We
that
also
is-
know that
that is her
Feather-
exact reasoning. She's like, clearly based on the description, it is not me. And also, clearly, I have been with you.
I was gonna say
uh,
she's literally been with us. She has probably the best alibi possible.
She says, but I am it is as a person with the head of a cat person. I thought perhaps that it might send the woman into a panic if she were to lay eyes on me after experiencing something so traumatic.
You did exactly the right thing.
That is absolutely.
I'm glad that one of us has social graces.
Stick with us, Fidget. You're going to learn a lot of habits. Most of them will be bad.
We don't have that many bad habits.
She says through a mouthful of like cavities from all the sugar she eats.
Yeah, she's falling out of her skull.
Maybe we should not mention our enhanced interrogation techniques around.
We have a bunch of bad habits. Walter's like putting away a bag of Coke. Like, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
So we'll make our way to
Sure.
the hut.
So, easy enough to kind of cut through the beneath the trees here. There's certain areas where like there's clear walking paths that have been worn. So you cross over to this open area and make your way down this way, and you find the hut in question. It is a square structure, no more than 10 by 10. The walls have been constructed by setting down in like a checkerboard pattern a series of wooden like posts driven into the ground and then like lattice worked this way, and then the gaps in between have been filled in with like a mud clay mixture that when hardened in the air makes sort of like a mortar type material that makes up the sides of it. The door is just an open frame. There's like a what's happening?
I don't know.
Olive. He's like wiggling and hitting my camera cable, my mic cable. The door is just like an open frame. There is the remnants of what would have been essentially like a woven sort of bug netting type of thing. It is currently like mostly ripped down and just sort of hanging to one side. And then as you approach, you can see pretty clearly inside there are, a few like wicker baskets and a couple of like clay pots and things like that. Various like personal effects that you would expect to find in someone's home. A single like woven like bed mat. The roof of the hut is just like a tightly woven thatch like cone shaped thing. And then the back, as you're like looking in the doorway, you can see like right through the like out the back of the hut, as in the back, much as you guys had been told, something made a hole about 3 feet wide by like 5 feet high, just like trucked through the back wall of this structure.
So like a Tony the Tire cutout.
Yeah, it's like it's like going like this, like a Super Mario. No, it's just like a big like poof, something like bashed out and snapped the beams, broke like all the like clay and mortar just like crumbled, is all like strewn out the other side, as if something like barely even noticed the wall was there and just like battered through it from the inside heading outward.
As an experiment, I'm going to head over to one of the undamaged walls and just thump the side to try and
It's
get
fairly solid by just, with like just the fist there. It's like, I mean, it's, it's not flimsy.
Yeah.
So I don't have compulsion right now.
I will cast Detect Magic while I look around.
Okay. Easy enough and to no avail. There is nothing magical in the space here. Except like all the shit that's on these guys. Like, you're like, oh, a lot of magic stuff these guys got.
I'm going to look for scratch or claw marks.
Sure.
That's a 19.
Okay. You see on like the door frame, there's a couple of like furrows, as well as a bit of like you see like a scrape in the ground. The inside of the body and then like obviously the injured woman have been removed, but there is still like a considerable amount of blood soaked into the ground in here. And you see in like one of the big puddles, there's like a trio of scrapes. Or no, 4 instead of 4 gashes.
I'm gonna try to like follow the exploded door and try to attempt to follow where like
Sure.
it went.
You make another survival check.
Cool. Great survival. 16.
So you get explosion as if whatever it was went straight out this way, and then as you make your way out the back of the hut, kind of over to the trees. Similarly, you find a few like broken branches, a patch of like scraped earth, and you get the impression similar to kind of where you had followed before. You get the impression that like that way.
I guess the last one is the original attack.
That's about a half-day travel, like this way, from where you guys are.
Is there any indication here of how it made its way into the hut and what it might have been doing?
As far as you know from what you were told by the survivor and from what you see here, it looks like it just came right in the front door.
Just walked in.
There's
and
not even
attacked.
a door.
She did not tell you that it like was trying to take anything. She just said it just burst through the entrance of our home and like attacked myself and my partner.
Eller's gonna poke his head out of the door. He's gonna just quick look around the this here. Is this hut particularly further away from any of the others?
Not really. Besides the fact that it's on the outskirts of town, or the outskirts of the village, kind of like
it's
around the perimeter.
Yeah.
As opposed to like one of these, which is in this like sort of the center.
Okay. Is this one closer than the others to like tree line?
Not especially.
Okay.
Is it like, are they all basically built the same? Like nobody has doors and it's just like
pretty
netting.
much. So like these larger ones here, like there's a couple more like this
security.
where there's a couple of like lodge style buildings where like multiple people would gather. That's all that is. It's just like a slightly larger building.
Oh.
It probably has
So
a
Looks like a
is
dwelling.
it the square one or the circle
It's
one?
this thing.
Okay. So there was one other hut
There is
that's
another
actually
so there's
closer to
another
the
like
ones.
there's another hut kind of right here, and then like this is a dwelling here. These are all dwellings. This is a dwelling.
Do we want to ask the individuals in that circle hut?
This is the only one that was attacked that they weren't by themselves. What's different? I mean, I can get attacking a hunter by himself, or by herself. I can get going after a fisherman by himself. Why here?
I wonder if they were cooking anything. Left some food out.
I believe we were told that they were asleep in the middle of the night.
Could be just bad luck, but
Well, you should try to convince them as the moon grows closer to have everyone try to secure themselves in one centralized location with like actual doors. instead of whatever this is. I don't know if...
Well, that's a couple days away at least.
yeah, it gives them a couple days to make some makeshift, slightly more secure, nonsense, but...
Also, even if they don't have actual... they can't barricade themselves, everyone gathering together...
We could try to set a trap and, have everybody in the center, and we can be either here or at the other end where there's less people.
Is this my opportunity to be bait? I've always wanted to be bait!
How good is your helpless baby routine? We'll put you in a crib and just leave you in the middle.
I can fit in a crib.
Brom? I'm sure you have baby clothes.
Do you have a
Does
spare
that
baby
seem
clothes?
entirely necessary?
Do me a roll for baby clothes.
Yeah.
That's 13.
My trash wizard robes are baby clothes.
You probably don't have
Do you have the old lad outfit?
you don't have a straight up baby
sailor outfit?
you don't have a set of baby outfits, as you're not a weirdo. But you definitely have the materials that you could throw together something. You handled the sailor lad costume for Kel in a pinch.
I thought we rented that, didn't we?
Oh, I don't remember.
I think it was a rental.
Who knows at this point?
But I think it was a rental we
Did
never
we return
returned. We're going to come back one of these days with you have a 7,000 gold late fee on that sailor costume.
It's going to be like
What are your
Skyward.
opinions
You
on
stole
indentured
half a
servitude?
cheese wheel and they chase you all across the land.
They told me I was mad for opening a small lad's clothing rental shop in the middle of Bavaria, but I proved them all wrong.
I only ever rented one thing.
I rented one thing and it got stolen. I was going to use the profits from that first rental to start expanding my inventory, and it all went wrong. Now I'm sharing a crappy tenement with the meat guy. This has gone off the rails. Proceed.
My wife is terrible. There's nothing to do with this. I just needed to tell people.
Is there anyone else in town that we want to try to talk to?
We definitely want to.
Do we want to go to the other scene, or is that too far away for us to try to do
It's only half a
today?
day.
It's still fairly early in the day as well.
Yeah.
You got time if you want
Go
to.
deal
We
with
could
that.
probably be back before it's too dark at night.
And that one is in the direction, vaguely in the direction of...
Vaguely, yes.
Okay.
If you're assuming that, this is your direction, yes.
Okay.
It's, out that way.
Yeah,
So-
let's speak with the Elder again to try and get a firm direction of which
Sure.
way it is, and then...
And then I can try to locate it when we're there.
Oh no. Our audio is desyncing a bit.
Uh-oh. Well, we're...
Might be fixed after break.
Yeah, might be fixed after break. Okay. So you're heading back to the village elders?
I'll give Feather the option. If you want to stay behind with the horses...
She kind of says,
have it.
I think that is best. I will stay here. I am... not insensitive to the plight of these people, but my job is only to stay with you as long until it takes to find these Scardlands. The prospect of traipsing out into the woods to fight a tiger-headed monster that can knock down a house is a bit out of my pay grade.
I don't blame you.
Ours too.
She's like, I saw you hit a bunch of guys with a lightning bolt yesterday, so...
I didn't say I couldn't do it. I said it was above my pay
Oh, I
grade.
see.
Before we leave the house, I want to reach into my bag and pull out Kel's belligerent book.
Okay.
Are we missing something in this house?
The book needs context.
I'm a talking book. I don't know what that means.
What do you have?
Nothing.
Did the person who have me before give me to a toddler?
Brom takes the book. Worse.
Was it a book or a scrap of paper?
I think it was a scrap
I
of
feel it
paper.
was a scrap of paper.
But every time you guys have mentioned it, you've said it was a book, so I've just been like, alright, it's a book now, it's fine.
It's actually a piece of napkin. belligerent napkin.
It's half a fajita.
Just considering.
Sorry, it took me half a second to remember the word for fajita and what it actually meant. I'm terribly sorry.
Are we missing clues to the monster in this house?
No, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that book is not omniscient.
I like the idea that she is in fact narrating what she's writing. You taking up journaling?
No.
Scrapbooking?
The books writes back, probably, you guys generally suck.
Good point. The book thinks we missed something.
Probably.
Do you want to, just... I don't have a magnifying glass. I don't actually know what they are in this universe, so... I guess we can look again, investigate
I look up
more
at the
thoroughly.
ceiling.
It is a ceiling.
I'm going to...
I will point out that the book has no context to anything going on in the narrative. It just says mean things to you when you write in it. Just so we all remember what the book does.
I out of character, I'm aware of that. In character, I said,
Your
I'm
characters
pretty sure
are also aware of that because
Yeah.
Namara explained it to you when you got it.
I'm also really reasonably confident it's not, but now I'm second guessing myself.
Okay.
Alright, we can go to the other side.
Alright, after a considerable amount of dawdling just to determine that no, you definitely didn't miss anything. The book just hates you. You're gonna head out to the other site?
Yep.
Okay. You end up speaking to the village elders again. Feather in the Wind does a bit of translating, and they rustle up somebody who was part of the group that found the body in the first place, who, as you leave Feather and your horses behind your cart.
While we're there, I'd like to try to encourage them to start making plans to coalesce if possible.
They're sort of already on that as attacks have been getting closer to their village. They've been making a bunch of stakes and spears and things.
The person who was killed, they have any relatives or anything?
Which person? The huntress? Or because there's three people have been killed.
Relatives that are
yes.
shifty?
Shifty relatives? No.
Or missing relatives?
No missing relatives, no particularly shifty relatives. Everybody is sort of related to everybody else in this village, as there's only 100 people here.
Family trees, that's
Have any villagers besides the ones that were killed go missing within the past year?
Nope.
Okay.
Anybody been acting weird in general?
They don't believe so. I mean, everybody's pretty terrified as something is just hunting people in the night. But
okay, so might not be somebody from the village. Might just be an attack from outside. All right.
Or they could be not very attentive.
also
Or they
possible.
could be lying.
I mean, we're not very good at finding things.
Fair point.
You found
No,
us.
we're great at finding things. We're just not great at finding things we're looking for.
Or relating to them. What we need to get from them.
All right. Then yeah, we'll.
Okay.
Tally ho, lads.
So the a younger man kind of guides you out. You trek. Please, for the love of
you know what?
heavens.
That's actually a good opportunity quickly to just hit the stop button. Not stop the recording. Yeah. Just stop that. It seemed.
We're back.
We're back. We paused the mics for a second. The younger man who was one of those who found Relka the Huntress who had died leads you about 4 hours outside of town to the northeast, or outside of the village to the northeast. You get to a small clearing in the woods, and he points the spot to you, and then says a bunch of stuff, and like quickly hustles and just like backs away. Like we like that's where it is. You guys can find your way back. Like he just leaves.
Hi.
So the area that you're in is, if not for the fact that he had like pointed it out to you at first glance, it's been months since this first attack. It just looks like a little clearing. But he told you that this is the spot.
Morgan's going up, and I guess we are splitting the difference and trying to like pick a cardinal direction and search.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk the perimeter of the clearing and make an investigation check.
Okay. Everybody can make investigation checks or survival checks, whichever you prefer.
Detect magic.
Okay.
20, not natural.
Ooh, do I want a plus 0 or a -1? Well, I rolled a 2. So.
All right.
15.
You got 12 in investigation.
12 investigation. Okay. Yours was investigation.
Oh, mine was.
Yours was as well.
Yeah, I had a +1 in either, so it didn't really matter.
I found a bug.
21 for
Cool.
survival.
Survival. Cool.
That's actually
And yours,
chipping
what was your
apart
number?
from that tree over there.
20. Okay. So collectively, you guys search the area, and the things that you find are as follows. On a tree near this area that was pointed out to you, there is a set of 4 slash marks, about 4.5 feet off the ground. 4 of them, you gauge by the distance between them, the width of each individual slash. You believe they were made by claws that are each probably roughly like 4 inches long. So pretty big. You also find, as Walter, you're getting very good at finding like broken tree limbs. Sorry, but with Fidget's survival, looking for like paths through the forest here. You guys find some scraping on a couple of tree trunks a little bit further to the northeast, of some more not necessarily like claw marks, but as if something like battered against the tree going past and like scraped off some bark. You see a nick a little higher up on a tree trunk, choking to death. Sorry.
I thought you were doing an accent. Sorry.
Nope. A little higher up on a tree trunk, it's like kind of a nick that looks like maybe the head of a spear like slashed past it. Giving you the impression that the place where they found the woman's body is not where she was initially attacked. Just your preliminary investigation over like a couple of 100 yards and sort of in that direction gives you the distinct impression that she was like ambushed elsewhere and, for whatever distance, was like running back towards the village and like trying to fight this thing along the way, until it eventually, like at the spot that they found her, overtook her, overpowered her, and killed her.
In all these attacks, the body was just left.
Yes,
right?
Like viciously ravaged, and in at least the case of this one, like they didn't find it till a while later, so it had been like picked at by animals and insects and stuff. But at least in the case of the attack at the side of the river there, they found him the next morning. He had been like ripped apart, but left there. This one sort of was like interrupted mid-attack, and the creature like ran away. But in no case did it like haul anybody off or eat them entirely.
Yeah.
Just like murder tearing, essentially.
So can we reasonably we could reasonably backtrack this attack path?
Potentially,
pretty far?
you could continue to try to like follow this trail.
See how far it goes, and we can always just go back to the village if it gets too dark.
Yeah.
It's about midday at this point. Little past midday.
I think that's fine.
Let's give it an hour or two.
All right.
Alrighty. You guys can go ahead and make survival checks. Anybody who wishes to.
19 plus 0.
5.
21.
17.
15.
Okay. So Brahm, the woods is not your element.
I'm not doing great at it.
City boy Brahm isn't great at tracking through the woods. Collectively, though, the rest of you manage to kind of find more of these signs of like broken branches, scraped trees, a few places where like a raised up root has been like snapped as if something plowed through it. And you follow another 20 or so minutes through the woods, 30 minutes. You go about another quarter mile before like you sort of lose any signs of like scuffling or for like fighting or fleeing. So either you just can't find any more signs, or like this is where the initial incident took place.
Fidget, you said you can only use that once. Do you mean once per day, or do you just mean once?
Once per day. I mean, I guess we could like you could let me take a nap for like an hour, and then I might be able to do it again.
So, since we're here, possibly at the closest point to any of us,
This is probably one of the better spots for us to try that if that's what we want to do.
Does it burn the hairs? Should you just pick one hair at a time?
It's probably better to use one at a time anyway.
yeah, see if we can
Okay.
start with one and then
Pluck a hair and go to town. Not one of mine.
like to be proactive and not fight this thing on the full moon.
Alrighty.
So I'm gonna wrap it up in some of the like trailing pieces of fabric of my little trash shawl, and I'm gonna cast locate creature.
Alrighty, locate creature.
So I describe or name a creature that is familiar to me. So I have a hare, and I know that it is humanoid but with a tiger head. If they are within 1,000 feet of me, I know the direction to their location or the direction of their movement.
Okay.
1,000 feet is
Not quite another mile.
just it's
That's
just
a fifth
it's
of
just,
a
it's
mile.
just under it's just under a quarter mile. It's like
Okay.
13:20.
I'm just double checking the like how familiar you have to be with it. Oh, I see what you said. Okay. Gotcha. Roll a D100. You can use the D100 of fate in the center there to see. Since this is not
Okay,
like
so we're
strictly
by the-
speaking familiar to you.
By the sun pile, yeah. Double zeros, let's go. 21.
Okay.
Right, outer is tens.
Yes. You cast this spell, and sure enough, as you do this, it's difficult to describe the sort of sensation, though perhaps for Fidget it is like second nature of you. You know, you cast this spell, and the divination magic rushes off across the weave of fate and knowing, and a few moments later you know that the creature that has this hair came from is just at the edge of your ability to detect it, almost directly north from where you guys currently are, not moving.
I'm just going to point in that direction.
We got a hit.
That way. It's far.
Get him, boy! Oh, where's the horse?
The horses are back.
In town.
Do you want to lift?
That is
I mean,
way too exciting for that.
I can walk.
All right.
I'm capable.
You don't want to piggyback?
What do you think I did before I met you guys?
Walk.
I don't know, we watched the first thing you've done so far is tame a ridiculous horse, so I'm at a loss. Yeah, so let's tally-ho, and I guess when we get close to where you think the edge of your perception was, we should probably try to sneak.
Yeah. I don't want to... I'd rather get one free shot at this thing before it has a chance to start disemboweling us.
If it's a were creature, it might be sentient and talkable.
One can hope, but...
There's only one way to find out. Let's go.
I'm just picturing him just doing
I'm gonna
this.
send Morgan ahead
Yep.
and try to, like, fly over in the vicinity where he was pointing.
Make a survival check from Morgan. And then the rest of you can... you might as well roll your stealths now if you're going to do that.
Morgan got a 19 plus stuff.
Okay.
21 for stealth?
Notes.
I want to see.
8.
Hold on. Calm down.
For survival is a 20.
Okay.
Is that necessary?
Yes.
And then
We're gonna cash this in for Nula's.
for Nula's stealth.
Okay.
And I got a.
I was just checking what my bonus was.
So she's
versus
got
her
a
bonus.
golden d20 on one of her disadvantaged stealth checks.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, we'll let you take the 20. It's fine.
Didn't we give you a thing to make you not a disadvantage? What did we do? There's a thing. Oh, was that you were invisible?
Yes.
I can make you invisible again.
I was 15, by the way.
15? Okay.
We should get closer before I make you invisible.
I was 16.
I can throw that spell on her.
Okay.
I'd rather you save your stuff for more effective things.
So
Do you know me?
I know you can throw lightning.
Yeah,
That's pretty damn effective.
Those are different spell slots.
It's just part of my shawl. I can do more things on this side.
Via your link to Morgan, she reports back to you about 10 minutes before you arrive at the designated spot. There is a little ways off of this. So this same like river stream goes like up and this way and like winds up this way. And you actually like way up here where you are, you have like bumped into it again. Just off of this little offshoot of this stream, up a little bit of an elevation, there's like kind of a rocky outcropping with a small like opening to like a little cave jobby inside it. Morgan reports back to you that there is like a small little like campfire and a little camp set up.
Like in the cave or just like right in front of it?
Like there's a little campfire outside the cave
Okay.
and like a few other little various things.
She didn't see anybody, any
No,
people or creatures?
people or creatures. Just like, and doesn't really have enough like specific linguistics to relay like the exact everything to you. Just like, hey, there's like a camp here.
So I'll definitely relay that there's a cave up ahead that we may find our
Quarry.
That's the word. Sorry, I was just speaking bird in my head.
Chirp, chirp.
We think we're like a 10-minute walk away.
About.
Do we want to make people invisible?
Yeah.
Let's make 2 people invisible.
No. I can do that.
You have to concentrate on invisibility, right?
Right. I can do that for one person.
So let's make 2 people invisible. I nominate Nula.
Alright. You want to be invisible?
Don't care.
Okay.
You're invisible.
Alright, we're gonna make Brom invisible too. That
Alright.
sounds fun.
I'm going to cast See Invisibility.
Okay.
Right after
I imagine you're doing that, and then when you notice that he can see, you're like, "Oh, good one." I didn't realize anybody could see this.
Yeah.
Or Brom like has his pants off.
I know this is how invisibility worked.
Right after I do this, he's making those faces, isn't he?
How do I know you're not making faces at me under that thing?
Wherever you are. Thank you.
Do I need to have a discussion with him later?
We're on the clock, guys.
All right.
All right.
Sneaking on up.
So stealth checks before you've used the golden d20. You can make another stealth check as you're now invisible. So your first one was a 15. You just see if you do better if you want.
Nope.
Okay. So you can take your 15 as your now advantage.
Mine was 20.
Okay.
Mine is now a 26. That's an at 20.
I'm just using the ones from before.
Okay.
You're all fine anyway.
Okay.
It's not a problem. The only one who was going to be screwed was Nula, but she's been helped out by the golden d20. Alrighty, so you guys approach, and just like Morgan had reported, near that same stream that you know leads down past the Malat'ka village, there is a small opening in like a rocky outcropping that you can see inside. There's like a little cavern. There are a few signs of habitation outside. A rudimentary fire pit with a spit built over it has been set up where there's not currently anything cooking and the fire is not lit, but wild game or fish or something would be cooked here. The area has been like kept clean of debris and leaves and things like that. There is a primitively crafted water pail and fishing net neatly set off to sort of the side of this little camp laid out on a log. And then, of course, the entrance to the cave. There's no light coming from within. It is quiet within there. And nothing seems to have taken note of your guys' approach as you sort of make it up to the edge of the camp. The opening to the cave is only about 15 feet from where you guys are standing.
Jolar, you want to sneak your way up and see what you can see inside?
Yeah. This person's living long. Chances are they have to have set something up to protect themselves besides trusting their own. So, if I were a betting man, probably has a trap at the entrance or close by. So, I'm going to sneak up and check for traps.
Sure.
So my investigation is a 22.
Right, yeah, so you're looking for like tripwires, something to like jangle or whatever, and you find nothing. Just open cave. Not even that deep of a cave as you kind of get to the end of it. You can see the back.
Okay.
It's like 20 feet to the back of this little space.
Okay.
And there is like in the very back there is like a rat nest looking like just bunch of like leaves and woven like sort of cloth and stuff to make sort of like blanketing, and it looks like there is a sort of like just like a lump of a form inside this little pile about 20 feet from you.
Okay, I'm gonna back up. They're in there. I'm pretty sure they're asleep.
Do you want to attempt to talk to it, or do you just want to murder it in sleep?
Let's try diplomacy first.
All right. I suppose I can sneak up and cast a message.
If
I don't get it, if it immediately becomes aggressive, then it's just aggressive. But if it can respond, it might.
It also, chances are, it also doesn't speak common. The only two people that might speak a language that it understands are Brahm and Fidget.
I have nature's round.
And so, do you want to go like shout into the cave, or Brahm? Do you want to go like?
Brahm's invisible.
I'm like saying Brahm, but like I'm looking at just a rocky side of the wall.
I will orient you the correct way.
Okay, I'm gonna attempt to sneak into the cave.
Okay. Go ahead and make a stealth check. With advantage, because you're invisible.
Pick up the dice.
How'd you roll 2 nat ones?
Be a 24.
Okay. You make your way into the cave. How close do you want to get to where this like lump in its
Right at the
bedding
edge
is?
of 30 feet.
Okay. You do not have to go very far. You go like 5 feet into the cave, and you are 30 feet from.
Can I tell what it does it look?
You can't really make out the form, as it seems to be like roughly humanoid shaped. Not any bigger than like Alar Walter.
Okay, so it doesn't look like a giant monster.
It doesn't look like a giant monster, but you can't make out any features as they've got like all their like rat nest shit pulled over them.
How does spellcasting on somebody who's asleep work?
What's the spell?
I'm either going to try Charm Person or Suggestion. Probably Charm Person.
Since they've got vocal components, and to like wake somebody up in D&D, all you have to do is like say something to them to wake them up. I'll say it'll work just like that. So go ahead and you can cast your spell and it'll work like normal.
All right, I'll go with.
Does break your invisibility though.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll go with Charm Person.
Okay. What are you saying?
Very risky.
I just want to talk.
Okay.
It's gonna make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
The most wise thing ever. It's not gonna matter.
So you see Brahm
No, we don't see. Bro.
becomes visible. He becomes visible. You hear his voice. He goes, "Hey, I just want to talk," and whoosh, he appears a little bit ahead of you into the cave. There's an immediately startled shuffle from beneath these like lumps, and Brahm, you see what appears to be a human man sits up, looks, sees you, and like puts his back against like the back wall of this. He's sort of like blinking a little bit into the sunlight at the outside of the cage. He is dressed in like just like tattered rags, essentially, and he looks very afraid. You're pretty sure your magic worked. So he's not like... He's afraid, but he's not necessarily like directly afraid of you.
And not immediately hostile.
Not immediately hostile. And he starts speaking, but it is a language that you don't understand. You spoke in Orcish, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll respond in Orcish as you've spoken to him in Orcish. And he kind of he's back against this wall and he says, "Please, I don't know who you are, but please, you have to leave. It isn't safe. Please go. Please go. It isn't safe. Cover your tracks behind you. I'm not safe. You have to go. Please."
I think my friends and I got a pretty good idea as to what you are, and we maybe want to help.
I don't know. I'm not safe. I don't think I can die. And I'm dangerous. Please, it's better if you just go.
At this point, I'll gesture for like the rest of the party to come forward.
Okay. Weapons sheath.
So you guys.
I speak to him like my friends are going to approach, but they don't.
Okay.
They don't mean you any harm either.
As he comes in, he says, "You shouldn't let me see you. You should go. I have to. I'm here to be away from people. I'm not safe. You should go, please."
What the hell's he going on about, Rob?
I'll say in common, I think we found a big scary creature.
I think he pissed himself.
Well,
Yeah, well, obviously not right now, Walter.
yeah, lycanthropes, they normally change with the moon.
I don't think this guy's changed in like 3 months.
Why don't you shut up for 3 months, Walter?
Well, lay on hands, cure him of his. Like, do I know if lay on hands will work on this?
You don't know.
Yes.
Would anybody know?
Nula would be the one to know. I guess make an Arcana check, Nula.
Oh boy. 5.
You really are not sure, but you kind of doubt it.
Only one way to find out.
I can try.
Pump them full of lead and/or healing magic.
Brom, do you want to explain that I'm gonna try to heal?
Yeah. So my big blue friend over here, she has been divined with a holy power, and she is going to try something that might lift your curse, if that's okay with you. No guarantees it's gonna work.
Curse?
Or condition. What
is
situation?
I don't know. What do you mean? I know I'm not safe, but I don't know. What do you mean?
Brom?
I assume Brom is like more or less conveying.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does he mean? He knows, but he doesn't know what he's.
I think he doesn't. I think he knows he does bad things. I don't think he knows he changes. I don't think he knows exactly what's wrong with him.
Can you ask him
From
how long
last
he's
week,
had the problem?
did ALR know that there are some that change and forget, and then there are some that go?
Sort of the folklore that you would be familiar with of lycanthropes is that they sort of like they're afflicted with this curse that essentially makes them, they sort of go berserk, and commonly like someone who's become a lycanthrope might not even know it. They just like they wake up in the woods covered in blood, having had like dreams and visions of like violence and blood and gore.
Okay. He doesn't know what he transforms into.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep that on the down low. So we this is now workish. We know what's wrong with you, even if you don't, and my friend here is going to try and help.
What can she do? I'm some kind of demon. I had to leave my village to be away from people so that I wouldn't hurt anyone. That's why I'm here. I just can't be near anyone. It's just better if you leave and I don't follow you.
You're not a demon. You have a curse. And it's something that's beyond your control that might possibly be reversible, and if we can fix things, you would be fine.
I make a persuasion check.
Finally, something I'm good at.
Do you get advantage with your charm person for persuasion?
Yeah, do I?
It's in your addition on your spell list.
I believe I have it open.
I know Friends gives you an advantage on persuasion checks. But with your ridiculousness, I don't know how much you care.
You do not get advantage, but he like he regards you as like friendly towards him, which is why he's like listening to you in the first place. 16. Yeah. Okay. He says, "All right, but she should be careful of me. What do I need to do?"
You don't have to do anything. You just have to sit there, and she's gonna all she has to do is touch you.
Oh, okay.
And don't freak out. More than you're already freaking out.
Okay.
All right, Lula.
He like sits on his hands essentially.
Do your jazz hands.
I'm gonna cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
I
We'll
do
just watch this go on.
Sure.
lay on hands
Okay.
for 10 points.
For 10. Alrighty. So you lay on hands for 10. You see, he's got a lot of he's not wearing any shoes, and his clothing is basically rags, so he's covered in a bunch of small cuts and welts and sores just from living in the forest.
Yep.
Those close up. A lot of his feet are very swollen. That sort of reduces almost immediately, and he definitely looks like he is suddenly relieved of a lot of just general discomfort that he was in. And he kind of looks at you with his mixture of terror and awe as you just like walked up and shiny handsed him. Visibly, that's the only thing that changes, though. That's all you see.
How many days is before the...
You have
the full moon or whatever the
you have about 6 after today.
Okay, so 6 days before he's technically dangerous again.
Yes.
Do I see anything with detect magic?
You see the divine magic that she uses when she casts her spell. You can see that like there is this like thread of enchantment magic like tied from Brahm to this guy. But that is it. He does not appear to be like he's not using or under the effects of any other spells. There's nothing magical in the cave.
So we don't know whether this worked or not. Do we want to wait it out here?
I mean, if he's gonna go on a mindless rampage, it's better that we like can immediately deal with it than like he wanders off into the random woods.
Is there anything...
Why would we wait to deal with it?
Yeah.
We don't know whether it worked or not.
Do you have any other spells or skills in your repertoire that might be able to help us in this situation?
I'm good at finding things and seeing things. I found him. I cannot see the effect of any kind of magic on him.
Alright.
Here's the question. Do either we or the village have any means of perhaps like chaining him up for when he transforms again?
Potentially.
He's from that village.
If you,
or he's from a different
you
village.
can ask him.
So I'll ask him, what village are you from?
He says, my village was called Ublo. It is far from here. I have traveled many miles to get away from it. When I became what I am, I was chased from the village. They discovered that I was dangerous. They tried to kill me, but I can't be killed. So I left, came here to be away from any, so that I would not hurt anyone again. I don't know what happens. I sleep and I dream of blood between my teeth, and I wake and I don't remember what happens between.
Do we know that silver can hurt lycanthropes, or is that out of game knowledge?
That's probably part of the folklore of lycanthropes that you would be familiar with. That like you gotta like silver them.
Coin.
We have to have a silver coin.
Do we? Yeah. We have silver, right?
You've definitely got a silver piece on you.
Do you want to ask?
Fidget says, catch.
Okay.
Throws it at him.
He'll make a dex check.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
He is surprised, but he like catches it, and then he goes, "Ah! Ah! What is this?"
Sorry.
And he like, you see, there's like two perfectly round.
We're gonna need some more healing over here in a minute.
I will heal him again and glare a little at Fidget.
Good news.
So-
we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Bad news. Sorry.
So 2 things, which it may either be good news or bad news, or depending on how desperate you are, it might be good news and good news.
What?
I'm getting there. First thing.
This is his second or third
First
language.
thing.
We're getting into...
We definitely know what's wrong with you. Second thing, which depending on how you feel might be good news or bad news, we probably know how to kill you.
He turns his head towards Nula. He says, "The Dragonborn's magic did not work. I am still a demon."
Not a demon. What you are is definitely not as terrible as being a demon, because you can't really help being a demon. No cure for being a demon. I asked them again, do we want me to, like,
Just
explain to
pull
him
the Band-Aid
the complexity
pull
of
the Band-Aid
lycanthropy?
Yeah, tell him what he is and tell him.
Yeah, I will, to the best of my ability in Orcish.
You relay to him that he is a
Do you want to tell him he killed some people?
No.
He definitely knows he killed some people.
Doesn't, based on the conversation that you
He
had,
doesn't.
you
He
don't
left,
know that he does
left
know
his
that.
village so that he wouldn't kill people.
He
And has
doesn't.
wandered close to another village.
Can you ask him if he knows how this happened to him? I'm going to ask really loud and common. Do you know how? Walter.
It's not how it works.
Sort of looks at you. What's the duration of your charm? Oh, no. Okay, so you're fine. You plenty of time. So Walter yells in common at him, and he looks confused, and he looks at you, Brom.
Oh, it clearly didn't work.
What was your stupid
Ask
question?
him.
Does he know how he came to be the way he is? Like, was he attacked by something? Or...
Is there anything you can think of that would be the cause of this? Were you attacked by something? Did you come across
He
some
nods.
sort of weirdness?
He says, "A year ago in my village, I was out hunting with my son. A jungle cat came upon us, attacked us. My son was killed, but I escaped with only minor injuries. I developed fever and an illness afterwards. The village healers thought I would die, but I got better. But it was after this that I started having dreams of violence and of blood. On the full moon, I would have dreams more strongly than ever, and I started waking up out of my home, out of my bed, unclothed and in the woods. Animal carcasses nearby, blood on my face and my body. The village was suspicious. Didn't know what was happening to me, where I was going. I tried to keep it secret at first, but I think I attacked someone. I think I killed a woman in my village. I awoke bloody and a woman of my village was dead. My people knew then that I had become this creature that you speak of. They thought me a demon at the time. They did not know the things that you know. They tried to kill me with spears and blades, but I could not be killed. And so they exiled me, and I left and traveled far to get away from where I could hurt anyone. You say you can kill me, but I do not wish to die, just to be away, to live away from where I will hurt any others.
We have some bad news about that part.
Yeah, so this place definitely isn't far enough for that.
What do you mean?
There is a village about, was it half a day?
Yeah.
Half a day
10 miles.
from here. That I guess the last few times you've changed, you have preyed upon. That's why
I've
we
hurt people. I've killed.
Yeah, 3 villagers.
I am a monster.
Hey, Brom.
I mean, technically, yes.
So based on his story, one of them survived.
Yeah, we're going to have to try that silver test on Survivor too.
Yeah, that's not great.
No, it's not. Ron, tell him I can end his suffering.
He doesn't want to die. That's the problem.
Well, we know where he is. We can come back.
These are my two options that I think we have. Either we bring him back to the village or we chain him up until we can maybe cure him.
Are chains going to hold him?
Well, we chain him up real good. Extra good.
Do we have that kind of chains?
But we have someone who can build a pit.
Do you want to put him in the bottom of a pit that's going to take me a day and a half to dig out?
We got 6 days.
Oh.
Good news. 6 days.
Good news.
Bad news. We might need 2 of them.
You got 6 days. You got 6 days to dig plenty deep.
Or we can put them both in the same pit and place bets on which one survives.
Jesus.
All right, D&D Michael Vick, calm down.
Jesus Christ.
Canceled.
Yeah, but for real this time.
No.
You suggested it. It was your idea.
We don't have the means to cure, like an be.
Look, all I'm saying is, like, we have to do with two.
Means or knowledge?
Yes.
Is there a way to cure lycanthropy? I don't know.
Do we know this? Do we know this?
You don't have that information.
We have no idea. That's what I'm saying. So the plan B...
And neither of these villages have any stories about lycanthropy.
Don't know if we asked.
Well, they
did not. They did not like. They didn't. Yeah, if they did have like lycanthrope legends, they probably would have put 2 and 2 together, and they did.
And the plan B is we just put him out of his misery right here, and hopefully he votes for that.
Drive a silver coin through his forehead and hope for the best.
I mean, I've got a magic dagger. That might do the job. I can make it quick.
What? Do
Doesn't
you,
that
do you
heal
still have the
people?
bullshit dagger?
Yeah.
Do you think it will do anything to him? It cut.
Do you think he's willing to find out?
Could cut a dead fish. That's the only thing we've successfully...
Right.
I
so
mean, I surprised him once. He's probably not going to trust us again.
Can you demonstrate on yourself first to show that it doesn't injure living tissue, and then tell him?
And then
you
stab
wanna
him
do
with it. See if he gets stabbed.
Just see if it'll like prick his finger. Just something.
What does that prove to us?
If it can
It helps us
injure
figure
him,
out what that dagger does. Or does not do.
Okay, we're gonna...
it's possibly unethical magical experimentation, but if we have a second way to injure them or possibly like extract the curse, I don't know what this thing
Okay,
does.
so I'm gonna say to him, we're gonna try something else. I'm gonna poke you in the finger. I need you to be okay with that. I'm gonna poke your finger with this.
For some reason, I trust you.
I'm just gonna see if it does anything.
Same as when you've done it to yourself. It just goes through him.
Well, that does nothing. Continues to be useless.
It does something. It has to do
funny.
something.
Well, didn't do anything that time.
Did it make you feel better?
Someday. So we can go back to the village and check in on Nava.
We're just gonna leave this guy here. He's definitely gonna run away if he
Can you
thinks
tell
we're gonna
him
either
that,
kill him or he's gonna kill
No.
somebody.
Wait, can we?
I mean, I've seen him. I can find him again.
We want to chase a weird guy across the entire continent, though.
Can we ask him if he's willing to be restrained into the cave, in a way that lets him like survive normally until we come back? Like, basically a leash.
How is he going to survive if he's restrained to the cave?
Like a really long dog leash.
You got a dog leash on you, Walter?
We got rope.
Yeah, the rope is gonna stop the were guy.
We're not worried about the were guy. We're worried about the guy.
Rope is probably... You'd gnaw through rope if you were dedicated enough.
Not to mention he probably has a knife of
We're
some kind.
asking him to agree to be restrained here so that we know he will be here when we get back, so he doesn't like wander off.
Or we could bring him back.
The way I see it, he's not dangerous until for 6 days.
We bring him back, and the villagers find out. They're gonna want to try
They're
to
gonna
kill
do
him.
the same thing that his village tried to do.
Yeah.
And then to us.
And then we just stab him in the face.
All I'm saying is I have a immovable portable climbing rod that we can use to like secure him to the floor with a rope and or body part, possibly.
I don't like the idea of killing the guy, but there's...
I'm not trying to kill him. I'm just trying to keep him here for a little bit.
I mean, we can essentially just make him promise not to leave the cave, and then if he does, Duck Hunt McGee over here can find him.
Whatever you want. He doesn't understand any of your conversation, so I have no chiming in to do until you talk to him directly.
Or you could just make a pit.
That...
We're gonna spend half
We'll
a
look
day
on the
here
pit
to make
ideas.
this.
What does this cave look like? Does it look like a fissured rock, or does it look like okay?
There's any big stones outside is rolling.
I mean, one of us could stay here.
I was going to consider that idea. I would be possibly willing to stay here short term.
The only problem is you don't speak his language and he doesn't speak yours.
Well, it's a good thing I have a pen and pad.
The universal language of charades.
Do you... God.
It's a good thing I took a mime course.
Do you want me to stay?
You don't speak the language either.
Alright, friend. I'm gonna talk in Goblin and see if
Okay.
he understands Goblin.
Yeah, he seems to.
Here's the deal.
Yeah, we should leave Fidget, because he can lightning
Someone
bolt
in
his
the
ass.
nearby village may be infected with the same thing that you have. The full moon is about 6 days away. We have 6 days to figure out what to do with you and to find out if something is going to happen to them and prepare them for that, if it is.
I understand this.
We need you not to leave while we check in the village.
If you are trying to help, I will do as you say. I only want that no one is hurt.
We would like to try to find a solution that does not involve either you living in isolation and hoping you don't stumble onto people, or resorting to violence. You can give us today to go check in the village and see what we can come up with. We will check in before the moon to see what we can do.
This is agreeable to me. He thinks for a minute. He says, "What direction is the village in from here?"
Basically due south.
He says, "All right, I give you my word that I will stay here. If on the day of the full moon you have not returned, I will run as far away from the village as I can get in the day, so that if I do turn, I will not find them and hurt anyone."
Do we know if there's any other villages, any other
We
direction?
don't really know.
All right.
I believe you when you say that you will stay here and that you don't want to hurt anyone. However, I feel obligated to tell you that I am Fidget, a great and powerful diviner, a wielder of powerful magics that you cannot possibly understand, and you cannot hide from me.
He seems like he didn't understand most of the words of that, but the emphatic delivery got the point across.
I am Fidget, destroyer of worlds!
And he says, I do not wish anything other than to live a peaceful life and that no one be hurt. I will do as you say, Fidget, the great and fancy.
Trash goblin.
Fidget the great and fancy.
I believe you, and my friends believe you, and if we didn't, we would not be trying to help you right now.
He nods and he says, I believe that you are good. I have seen the great magics that you possess in the blue one.
The blue one.
All right.
You're great and powerful. I'm the blue one.
You didn't understand that. You don't speak goblin.
To be fair, what you did didn't work.
Fidget.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I told him that we need to go check in the village and see if anything bad is going to happen at Ava and try to figure out what we can do, and that he needs to hang out here until we come back.
And
Was that all you said?
Uh,
You got real intense towards the end.
Got real shout.
yes, I distinctly,
Goblin's a very violent.
You got real yelly.
yeah, I distinctly heard an utini, and goblins tend to get very violent when
Let's
utini is
see.
yelled.
Let me check my flow chart for conversations.
As he consults about where click wheel.
So I told him that we needed to go back and he needed to stay here, and that I believe him, but I felt obligated to tell him that I am a great and powerful wizard that he cannot hide from.
Did he agree?
Yes.
Yeah, I can smell that.
Okay.
He said he would stay here until the day before the full moon, and if we had not come back by then, he would run as far north as he could.
All right.
I think that's about as good as we're going to get from him.
Okay, let's find out if we've got two problems rather than one. Let's get back to the
We
village.
have a collective, field rations that we can each individually give him one. So he has, 5.
He's fine.
Probably not
He's been
with
taking
us.
care of himself.
Okay.
Him living in this cave. He's
Yeah.
probably.
Let's get back to
He's
the
fine.
village.
Well, do you see
I'm going
the
to
boxes of
leave
Hot Pockets? He's fine.
that coin with him
Okay.
and tell him if he starts to have bad dreams, maybe that will help him not. I don't know.
Okay.
Put
He sort of
in-
pushes it with a stick into the corner because he doesn't
We'll
want to
leave
touch
it
it
there
again.
just in case.
if you don't want to hurt anybody, put it in your mouth.
If you start to have bad dreams, don't.
It's actually a bad dream suppository. So
What is it with you and butt stuff?
That was Walter's nickname in college. Bad Dreams Suppository.
That's the name of his band.
post-punk ska, you wouldn't understand.
You're right. We
Instead
don't.
of pick it up and put it in. Ah! Woo! Tabletop Legends! Only the best of ska jokes!
Oh. Alright, so we head back to the village.
Really catering to the 35 to 40 crowd.
Yeah, you leave him there with his promise.
Confused about what ska
that
is.
he will, yeah, confused about ska.
Just
Everyone's
sound
confused about ska.
You extract from him the promise that he will remain here, which he was planning to do anyway, and wait for your return. But if you guys don't return, and he's concerned that the full moon is going to come and you haven't come back, he will attempt to just flee as far from where he knows people are as he can get, so that he doesn't hurt anybody. And you return to the village. It is the sun is starting to go down at this point. But you still have a few hours of daylight left as you sort of return. As you come from the northeast, Feather on the Wind is still just kind of hanging in this area with your cart and your two horses. She looks up at you and she is about to speak, but then you see her scan your faces and she goes, "I take it you had an interesting trip north."
Yeah, we're trying to find out just how interesting this will end up being.
We need to talk to all of the survivors of the attack.
There's only
Just the
There's
one.
only
We
one.
need to talk to that survivor.
all of the
Right now.
survivors.
All that one, all one of them.
I'm going to throw this at her.
No,
We're not gonna
wait,
throw it.
no.
I grab it out of your hands. No, you're not going to throw anything at her.
He's definitely got more than one silver.
Nula is going to do a test with her magic
Am I?
where
Yes.
she palms
He's gonna
it.
put a coin on her.
you're gonna have to like.
You know that her magic is actual magic, not magic.
I know, but we're gonna
Okay.
have her.
But we don't want them to. We don't want them to
She's not the
think that her
tricksy
magic
one.
is
That's
tainted.
the rest of us.
Yeah,
I don't think it should be.
That's
me.
actually okay. Yeah. So he's gonna use his divine magic.
Why are you
to
trying?
test-
Why are we gonna give her the BS story?
She's like,
she's on our side.
She's looking at you. She's like, what is the problem that you are trying to
Okay,
solve
We
with
need,
this weird
we
coin?
need Nava to touch Silver to see if she's a were-tiger.
Ah,
Because we found a dude who's definitely a were-tiger.
My plan was just to try to give it to her and see if she can touch it or not, and they're trying to make a whole thing of it where...
you should probably just tell this to the elders.
We're gonna ask him.
And
That was step
politely
one.
touch it.
Step 4 or 5 was the silver touching.
Okay, let's go to the elders.
Luckily, you are 20 feet from the
Okay.
door.
And they've definitely heard us shouting the whole time.
Yeah, you head in. They're both like. Well, you're out. You were outside.
Okay.
And she's Feather in the Wind goes. So there is a man in a cave, half day's travel north of here. He is a were-tiger. He has been the one attacking the town, though he was not aware of it.
Yes.
And is not in control of himself when he does this. You believe the survivor of the attack, Nava, has been potentially given the were-tiger curse and need to determine this.
Yes.
Is that about the long and short of it?
Yes.
Very good. She turns.
Do we want to tell them that the guy is in a cave and we know where he is?
She like.
Just tell him we know where he is. Don't tell him specifically.
Very good. She begins speaking in their native tongue. A brief conversation takes place between Feather on the Wind and these two village elders, which ends in like she gets quiet for a while and they just spend like a good deal of time talking to her, and she like nods and nods and nods, and then she turns back to you and relays. She says, the concept of were creatures was unknown to them. I have done my best to explain the situation. They are not unsympathetic to the issue. Obviously, they are upset about their people that were attacked, but I impressed upon them the fact that the human man himself was not in control due to this problem, and that they may have a similar situation. They are willing to accompany us to do this silver test of yours, and are open to suggestions that we might have of what to do with these creatures after that.
Do they have like any sort of forge here?
No.
So no blacksmith, nothing.
No, they're like a bunch of people living in huts.
They don't
in
even
the
have
woods.
doors on their huts.
Okay,
Like,
so no
They
way
have-
to
there's
no way to
there's nobody
melt down
like-
a bunch of silver into a
There's,
dagger.
yeah, there's nothing to melt in silver or weapon in this village.
Alright,
Imagine
so
the secrets
let's
will be
go checking on Nava.
Head back.
So much for not crowding her.
The two village elders come with you. You guys make your way through the village back to that big old tree. And the two village elders are going to go in. Feather on the Wind elects to stay outside, as now you definitely know it was like a were-tiger person that attacked her, and she's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to not.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's fine.
She stays outside. The elders go in. Of the group of you,
I'll go.
I'll probably stay outside.
okay.
There's
Well,
no point
I
in me
speak
being there.
the language. So
You speak some language. You can go in. And you guys,
I will go in.
okay?
You guys want me to go in or not? Am I gonna help? I like helping.
Go on, Fidget. Let's cause a rock. Let's go burn some beetles out here.
Yeah, let's.
I'm not good at burning things. But I'm in for it. Let's go.
All right, so the village elders, Alar, Brahm, and Nula enter this this tent or this little space. Nava is sitting up from when you guys last saw her. There's still some of those like patches of salves and ointments and things are on, but a lot of it has been removed, and like she's got like a shirt on at this point. The one that was covering half her face is removed. She lost an eye, and there's like a big like double rake across her face, though it's been largely like sealed over. That's the beginning of like a pretty vicious scar over her right eye. She sees you guys enter, and she kind of like smiles a little bit at you, Anula, and you can see immediately like that the fever that she had has broken, and she looks a lot better than she did before. Your lay on hands, your curing of the whether we call it disease or poison, essentially like the infection that she had was cured by your lay on hands. She's doing a lot better. So she sits up. The medicine woman is like violently tutting at so many people in this space, but the elders kind of like shush her and walk over, and you see as they speak to her, though you don't understand as they're not speaking like Orcish or Goblin or whatever. She is like listening intently, and like more and more her brow furrows and she frowns, and she looks kind of at you guys briefly. She grows quite grim, but she nods, kind of an understanding. And the two elders and she like turn to look at you guys.
Alright, I'll do it.
And one of the elders sort of like nods.
So I'll go over there and I'll. He said, I'm going to.
Do you want to give it to an elder to give to her?
I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to prove that, like, the elders, I'm in the room, I'm outside playing with bugs. What am I talking about?
I'm going to do something, and it may hurt, but if it hurts, I should be able to heal you afterwards. Is that okay?
Poke one of the elders first to show that if it's okay, it won't hurt.
She's like,
I'll explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's looking. She's like, they already told me of the silver. Do what you need to do.
So
you like holding it out.
Yeah.
Or you like poking her with it.
She just needs to touch it.
Okay,
Like
so
the
you
least
hold it out.
burning. Possible.
She kind of looks. She looks at you.
Oh crap!
I am tainted. What do we do now?
That's a good question.
So it looks like both of the elders like are kind of exchanging a glance. They kind of look to you guys as well, like.
If it's like way too quiet for any amount of time, I'm just gonna come back in for it.
So
You come in just
quiet for a couple of minutes.
yeah, you can come in.
I
just
mean, you
in
come
time.
in and you pretty much see like the faces of the people gather. You're like, ooh.
Why don't we take her with us to the Scarlands?
and have to deal with her turning into a were creature.
We can deal with that
5 days from
away from town.
I have the same question I had before. Why are we waiting?
You think you're just gonna let him loose in the Scarlands?
I'm not gonna let him loose in the Scarlands.
What are you gonna do?
We've got two options.
If we're gonna
One,
kill him,
we
we kill him now.
we exile them. Two, we don't have the means or the knowledge, if it exists, to cure them.
I mean, if we only have to restrain them for a day and they're willing to be restrained to stay safe, then we might be able to keep them with us for a little bit of time until we find some way to cure it.
Yeah, but we don't know that we have the means to restrain two were-tigers.
Even
And then we could just make our problem worse if one of us gets it.
Do you want to spend an entire day digging every 30 days?
Do we have any...
I'm having flashbacks to my old job where I was literally digging graves every single
Do we
day
have
for people that died
any
all the time.
way to get in contact with our wizard employers?
Do you have any way to get in contact with your wisdom players? You
We
tell
can
me.
teleport back.
You do have a scroll of teleportation. That they did tell you was very expensive and only use it in an emergency, but you have it.
Not necessarily emergency.
We
Basically, I just want to be like, I want to ask them.
What kind of?
Is
What
it
kind of? I don't
curable?
know. Does anybody have sending?
So,
what kind of spells you guys got
do
access to?
Do you? No,
I don't have sending. I don't have remove curse. I don't.
I think I only have message.
yeah.
What is removed?
Yeah, I only have message.
Can you message really loudly?
What's
It's only 120 feet.
No, message is
Really loudly.
So it's the only spell that we would be able to use. We have the teleportation scroll. We have the. If anybody has sending, awesome. Animal messenger might possibly take 30 days to get there.
There's no way to like summon Morgan back at the house.
There is no way.
When do I get third level spells?
You should have them already.
You have the same problem I have. The spell I want to use is not present at this level. So we. I'm willing to take the two were-tigers back and take responsibility for using the teleportation scroll to the wizards.
Okay.
If it's okay with the party, and hopefully find a way to return. I believe as long as I know where you guys are and I'm familiar with you, they could possibly teleport me back to you.
But it's super expensive. It's only an emergency. I think we have 6 days to try to figure out something before then.
You can always try and like conclude your business down here within 6 days, and then teleport back with them
To the city.
to the city. You will have to leave your horses in your cart
What?
And bring two
and bring
were-tigers to the city. So that's probably a hard one.
just for player knowledge, based on like your guys' experience so far. Like, if you teleport back with them now, there is no way you're getting back here while they're here, because like they're gonna do whatever they gotta do, and then they're gonna have to walk back, same way they came, like through Ald.
Gotcha. So let's take them with us to the Scarred Lands, with the contingency that when we teleport back,
Well, we're not teleporting back. We have to walk back.
that's so one of us could teleport back while the rest returns, or we could, because one of us has to go back with it.
We don't even know how far away the Scarred Lands are from here.
So, are they gonna want to hang out together?
I mean, to be fair,
The option is that or death. Living is usually preferable to most people.
I mean,
And
we could just
I'm gonna ask
spend the next day digging 2 giant pits and leave them there until we're done on this
I'm going
Lands.
to ask the elders
Mm-hmm.
if they know of anywhere, like where from here would be a great place to go live where there's nothing else around you. That's reachable in less than 6 days.
I mean, they say like they can travel like west of here. There's a pretty good expanse where there's not really any other villages. The Scarred Lands are south east, I think. No, southwest. Hang on. Yeah, the Scarred Lands are southwest of the village, about only about 10 miles, but they're like, well, if you're trying to just like dump somebody, send them there and they'll never come back.
Okay. Here's my idea. For this coming moon, in 6 days, I think we try and contain them, whether it be holds or whatever. And if we discover that they can be held, then I think we could quite possibly give them the means to chain each other up when it comes time to change, and they can live far away from people. But if we find out they can't be restrained, then we probably have to take them out anyway. Now we would do that not anywhere near the village.
Why don't we...
We should also ask Nava what she wants too, now that she's learned this.
If Nava's willing, we can just go start making the pit out by the other cave. And then with the agreement that they'll be contained there, hopefully, and we'll stand guard at that, and if we have to kill them at that point, then they are in a pit, and it will be a lot easier on us.
Well, I don't know that we can kill them at that point.
I mean, the downside of all this is, if the pit is not deep enough, we now have 2 of them to deal with instead of 1.
I am fairly confident I can make it pretty deep, given time.
How high can they jump?
Well, they don't seem to care about walls, so I assume pretty far, and I assume their climbing speed is pretty good. Their climbing ability is pretty good too. If I can take the time to excavate a cylindrical pit 100 feet deep, possibly, as long as there's no bedrock that I hit and run into, it should be possible.
Do you have any idea how long it's going to take Walter to dig a cylindrical pit 100 feet deep?
2.
Probably about 30 feet wide.
2. Just alone people.
Working
Like,
non-stop for 6 days.
Do we want to take a break and do some math?
You can
As an
say,
alternative, I'm gonna assume at some point you guys like translate with the elders and Nava, or like Feather comes back in here and starts talking. So to expedite this process, as an alternative, they say like you can make a pit. If you make a pit that's like, and even like we'll help you dig.
Yeah.
If we make a pair of pits that are like 20 feet deep, we can like get the strongest materials that we can get. And if you have this ability to like mold earth or whatever, they're like, we can essentially like sink like lattice works of like lashed together logs to make like lids for these things, so that even if they could climb out, they're like sealed inside. They don't have metal really readily available, but like they're pretty sure that with 6 days time and like digging and mold earthing, like you guys can craft something. Unless these things are like superhuman powerful, you're fairly certain you can contain these two during the full moon.
Okay. Yeah. So let's try that, and we'll do it over by the cave.
Okay.
Far enough away that even if they can escape, hopefully they spend enough time during the night to not get very far afterwards.
Well, we should ask where the elders want them. Like, they may want them in the village so they can keep an eye on them.
I think they would want them as far away from the village as possible.
They're more comfortable. They're like, do it outside, but like show us where it is so that we know. Like, maybe we'll leave somebody nearby, like up in a tree or something, to like hide and watch.
That guy came with us, right?
Which guy?
The guy who led us to the site of the original attack that then we diverted.
He came back to the village when you
got there.
went
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Then if him and like 2 other people are willing to like come with
Yeah,
us.
they definitely have people like they're like, if you put them out there, we'll put somebody can the night of, we'll put them in the pit, we'll seal them in, we'll leave somebody, what we hope to be like, we'll leave our bravest whoever a safe distance away, that like if it sounds like they're about to bust out or whatever, can like leg it back to the village and warn everybody to like get ready.
How much silver do we have on us collectively?
Actual silver.
A few silver pieces.
I only have like maybe 2 or 3 silver pieces. I think I have 4 silver pieces.
Like collectively.
Do you want to try to make like a silver piece necklace?
Probably not enough for whatever you want to do.
What do you want to do?
I'm essentially going to get as much silver as we have, and between now and 6 days, heat metal as many times as I can, just to essentially make a silver stake.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be great. Just has to
I mean, we can probably trade some gold for some silver that might be in what Feather on the Wind was paid and things like that. We can probably get our hands on a reasonable amount of silver.
I'll
we
say
can't forge anything.
probably not rules as written, but it's a cool idea. So I'll say like.
Yeah, I essentially
I'll
just
say you can make like a just sort of like a silver crummy, like slightly
just
nubby.
Needs to be
like
something
like
we can
a pool cue with a coin on the end.
Not even quite that big. Like, yeah, you managed to make something between your silver coins. You managed to make something about the size of like a pen that's just like vaguely sharp.
Okay. Well, we can work on I can work on filing it to a point.
Sure, we'll say that's possible.
Stick.
So is the plan like? Are you guys like at this point they are willing to tell you where the scarred lands are and show you, or are you planning to just like wait out the 6 days here to see what
I
happens?
think we wait it out because their best chance of fighting off this thing is these things are us.
Once Brahm has it filed down, I'll take the weapon off his hand. I'll do it if it comes to it. I got the best chance of sticking him where it hurts.
Okay. Then in that case, the next 6 days pass kind of uneventfully.
Digging.
Digging happens.
Heating
metal happens. Preparing happens. Nava, who is kind of up and about after Nula's healing, sort of goes, to the village and like just in case, sort of like, says her goodbyes to all of the people of the village that she knows.
Does she heal like preternaturally quickly?
Seems to be the wounds inflicted by like the were-tiger originally seem to be like sort of normal healing rate. You don't notice really any other like cuts or anything like that she like acquires during her time. Not that she's really in a situation to do so. At some point, someone relays this plan back to your friend, who does have a name, by the way.
Mr.
His name is Kotlut. Kotlut out there.
Mr. Cutlet.
Mr. Cutlet is fine with the plan. He basically says, well, if you can contain me, until this moon is passed, maybe you can. Maybe there are powerful people in the places where your magics come from that can cure me. Like my people never knew what I was, but maybe there's a chance. So he's perfectly willing to be contained. He does insist like 2 pits. Mm-hmm. I don't want us to attack each other. So they do 2 pits.
That might solve one of our problems.
And so are you guys? Where are you? Like so as the moon rises on the full moon on this this 6th day, where are you guys like hanging out?
I would probably be at the cave.
Okay.
I'd be at the
sleeping bags on top of the
cave.
Yeah, I'm stationed
on top of the
right
pit. Okay.
by the pit. So if one of them does break out,
Sure.
I'd probably be like further away, just in case. Like,
all right, so you guys are in the region. A couple of people from the village are a little ways further away. They like set themselves little tree stands to hang out in to keep an eye on things. And the Feather on the Wind stays back at the village with the horses. She's like, again, I'm not fighting were creatures.
no, I don't
and also if trouble brews, and you guys are dead, I'll save your horses because they're more important than you guys.
she gets 2 horses in a cart.
Right.
Do we have?
In the cart.
Would it have been possible to in Billy leave? Well, is it slat enough that you can actually see? Like you can look into it.
That's up to you guys. Do you want to leave a viewing window?
Mainly because if I need to cast any spells, I need to be able to see them.
Okay, yeah, we can say you did that.
Just need like an eye slit.
Yeah.
Realistically, like if we're casting spells, they're out of the pit. So it's probably
Well,
safer and better.
if it looks like it's going to break out of the pit, I may be able to cast Taj's Hideous Laugh.
That's fine. So we'll say essentially the
Just be able to see
people of
what's
the
going
village
on.
cut down a number of trees that are like pretty sizable and use them to fashion these like heavy bastards of like lids for these things. Takes like a dozen people to put one into position, and then I'm assuming like you sort of mold earth to like sink it a foot down so that it's like real sealed. and you guys settle in for the night as the moon comes up behind the rings in the sky, and
I'm sitting right by
begin the night. I assume everybody's just like awake, kind of waiting.
I'm
I probably would have tried to
steadily
sleep like
whittling
during
away
the
on something
each afternoon.
else.
Sharpening the.
No, that's
Steady,
stuck next to him, but he's kind of staring off into the middle distance and whittling away.
So about 4 hours after the sun goes down, as the moon starts to like reach its zenith in the sky, you begin to hear noises from down below. A male and a female voice, kind of like. And after a period of like screaming and howling, you begin to hear like echoing up from the pit what sounds like bones snapping, and the pair of like matched voices begin to like deep into this bestial like. And that pretty much is how the rest of the night goes. They do seem to be contained within these fortifications. You can hear them down there all night, just like these sort of like and like this slamming against the the earthen walls of the inside of these pits, sort of like scrabbling, trying to climb up. But it doesn't seem that they are able to like climb up and get enough purchase to bust out. One or two times you have a tense moment where like one of them manages to like. Sounds like they like ricochet off the walls enough times to get to the top and like slam against this wooden cap you've made, which like gives a sort of an ominous like creak, but holds firm. The night passes, and as the moon goes down, the sun comes back up. Things eventually grow quiet. Nobody within the vicinity of those two tigers got any sleep.
Oh no,
for sure. So unless you like slept through the day ahead of time, you'll take a level of exhaustion. But a couple of hours after, after the sun has sort of come up, you hear kind of the weak voice of Cutlet from down there. He says, "It worked. I am still in here. It worked."
Gonna glance down at the other one.
She's just sort of sitting, kind of legs pulled up, arms tucked around them. She looks fine too. She's in there.
I imagine we have like put in like a little maybe trap door or something. Throw a rope ladder down,
I
let them out.
mold earth a tunnel out.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're gonna let them out, you just like remold earth those lids back off and lift them away, and they can, and you can throw down a rope to get them out.
Alar's got a rope standing by as well, so he hauls them out one by one. All right. What a month.
Lands.
So, here's the thought. They essentially could spend between now and the next moon making that super permanent. And I think the best we can do is when we get back to our wizard associates, maybe they can send somebody out here, but I don't think there's anything else we can do. At the very least, these people can live in the village normal lives until they gotta get locked up
They don't.
once every month.
The only issue is they don't have anybody that can mold earth as we do, so they can't.
They can
make
put more weight on top of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, they have a month to make those permanent.
We can see if the elders are willing to consider that.
You have had 6 days to talk about this. Assuming it worked, there is definitely some tension with Kotlet and the Malat'ka village, as he's like killed several people and an outsider. But especially as like one of their own is now sort of in the same boat, they have been swayed a little bit to be more kind of understanding. They do not want this to be a permanent situation, at least with him. But at least for now, they are willing to like let him kind of stay around the village. He's mostly like intending to just sort of stay in his cave away from people. If he needs to come into the village in an emergency or something, they will allow that, and they will, assist in sealing him and Nava away on the full moon for the time being.
I'd be okay with taking him along with us as just to stay back with the horses. Well, just having extra bodies.
I think it's better that they stay here in a place that they can be locked up. What happens if we take longer than a month? What happens if it takes longer than a month to get to the Scarred Lands?
Well, you don't know where it is yet, but in your discussions, you do know the Scarred Land's only about 10 miles from Malat'ka village. It's like 5 hours to walk there.
I think they should stay here. There's no reason.
They want Kotlet doesn't really know much about the Scarred Lands, but like Nava has no interest in going anywhere near them.
All right,
guys.
so
then
if
we'll
we tell them if we haven't returned in, before the
20
next
days.
full moon,
Best of luck.
seal them up again and then give them supplies and then tell them to head for ports unknown.
Yeah, they basically tell you through and Feather in the Wind sort of translates all this. They tell you that if you guys don't return with some further plan for them, eventually what they will do is they will send a runner to Zresa to entreat the Speaker of the Free Peoples to intervene in the matter. The Speaker of the Free Peoples being Fidget would already know this. Maybe this is news to some of you guys, but the Speaker of the Free Peoples is like essentially the spiritual and pseudo-political leader of like all of the collected tribes of Honorand. So like if you don't come back with some plan, they'll deal with it.
And very quietly before leaving, Alar's going to leave the poorly constructed pike with them, just in case.
They'll keep that safe. They tell they are grateful to you for helping them. It's not a permanent solution, but at the very least, the people of their village can now sleep safe at night, knowing that
How?
They're not going to get attacked in the night anymore. Go that way. What are you doing? You don't need to
All right. Then we will get supplies. We will bid farewell to Feather on the Wind.
Yep, she's going to peace out. Her part of this is done.
Wish her luck in her horse searching endeavors.
We will thank her for her fine care of Henrietta.
Oh, we gotta give her that box of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like she's 100% like gotten into it already.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
We left her alone with it for several days.
Yeah. I'm sure curiosity has gotten the better of her. Yeah, I went there.
She gets her
dead.
stuff. She says, as you guys are sort of preparing, we'll call it, early morning, a few days after the were-tiger incident. A guide from Malat'ka is going to show you the way to the Scarred Lands, and Feather is preparing to venture back north, off on her own journeys, before eventually catching transport back south to the Iolocus Archipelago. She, bids you guys farewell, and she says, "Well, for a bunch of northern weirdos, you're pretty okay. I have not often seen the level of concern for the type of people that live this far south on Orahol."
People are people. Doesn't matter where they come from.
She nods. She says, "Well, if ever our paths cross again, I will consider you allies." And
for a lady with for a southern cat lady with a lot of horse facts, you're pretty okay.
she gives you guys like brief sort of one-armed hugs.
And whispers
New
a
Land,
horse fact.
as she goes, she reaches in.
Those
She
horse
goes,
tips.
she gives you like a slight pat, and like as you go to sort of pull away, she like locks you in so that her face is right next to your ear, and she says, "Horses can run shortly after birth, and also they can sleep both laying down and standing up. Horse tips. Farewell.
And she disappears into a mist.
That's right. She throws a smoke bomb and she's gone.
And you see the
Hear the faint sound of galloping.
Yeah, you just sound like.
And she was a horse the whole time.
She was a werehorse.
She was all.
As the smoke clears, Alar's just saying there, arms crossed. Where did she get those wonderful toys?
So, the Scarred Lands. What are you doing with? You know, it's about a five-hour journey. What are your plans for your cart, Henrietta, and Nula 1?
If Nula Prime is okay, like being at the village, if the villagers are willing to like take care of our
That's
stuff,
Nula Prime.
Yeah.
The
No,
horse is
Nula
Nula
Prime is
The horse is Nula 1. That's Nula Prime.
sure.
It's very confusing.
Yeah. So
They are willing to care for your horses and your cart while you.
Let Henrietta stretch her legs a little bit out here where it's safe. I'd rather walk.
Probably, There's probably not going to be a lot of tasty grass out in the Scarred Lands.
Yeah.
So let's keep them nice and safe here.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, we take another 2 months to come back.
Alrighty. So then on foot, assuming Fidget agrees to this plan of leaving Nula 1 behind.
I don't like it.
You have to agree it's the most practical course of action, unless you want to like lose her to whatever nonsense the Scarred Lands have.
You're right, but I don't like it.
What do the threads tell you?
I didn't say I didn't accept that you guys were correct. I just said I don't like it.
Fair enough.
And maybe by the time we get back, we'll have a better name for the horse.
The threads say horses have about 205 bones in their skeleton horse tips.
What the hell?
You were gonna tell me where you got those smoke bombs?
Ghosts! She was a ghost the whole time.
She's actually a 15th level spellcaster who's
Yeah.
been using etherealness on us.
She's the ghost of a 13-year-old horse nerd.
That's right. Okay, so off you go. As you have helped the Malat'ka with their problem, they agree to have a villager guide you to the Scarred Lands. They advise against it in the strongest of terms. They tell you that it is a place of evil. They tell you that none that have ever ventured there and gone within have returned.
Yeah, we got it.
But for your service to the village, they will at least show you where it is.
Sweet.
It is about 10 miles travel southeast of the Malat'ka village, and the guide takes you as far as a ridge that overlooks the area. The journey itself to get that far is relatively easy. You travel southeast with your guide, the terrain sort of levels off, and the forest becomes less dense. What at first were sort of narrow game trails through the forest become more traversable clearings and small meadows. Eventually, the trees give way to a narrow valley. As your party stands at the mouth of this valley, you see the rocky slopes on either side, which shelter the majority of the valley floor from direct sunlight. Roughly created sort of a strip roughly a quarter-mile long. There is a shaggy carpeting of wildflowers and low-growing shrubs in this area. Near the rear of the valley, however, you can see a dark stain on the landscape. As the walls of the valley come together at the far side and close the space in, sort of making like an elongated U out of the area, there is a streak where the ground falls away, creating a deep gorge. All around this gash in the land, the plant life is brown and black looking, twisted and lifeless. Looking out across the valley at this spot, it very much looks like its namesake. It looks like a scar on the land where something has poisoned the ground. Your guide unnecessarily gestures at the spot with a grim expression and immediately begins backing away from you, making a gesture on his forehead of a cross between his eyes, gesture to ward off the evil spirits of this place. He wastes no time in making a hasty retreat back towards his village, leaving you on your own.
Wave goodbye. Well, that looks terrifying. Let's go in.
Might as well.
Go ahead.
I'll ask Nula if this looks familiar, like to where she was guarding before.
This does not look. She doesn't know, but this does not look like the blighted
like
peninsula.
I just wanted to make sure, like, if it was like similar, I wanted to make sure we were like going and prepared.
I mean, it's similar in the sense that like the Blighted Peninsula is also an entire area where like everything is dead and cursed, but different brand.
Gotcha.
In this place from what she has experienced.
Thanks, Nula.
As we get to the point where the ground, the floor changes from wildflowers to dead and twisted, does it look like the same kind of plants, but just dying and wrong?
Interesting that you should ask this. It takes you about 10 minutes to walk down the length of that small valley. You pick your way through the tall grasses and the growth. By the time you reach the opening to this gorge, you are able to make it out in a more complete detail and get a sense of the lands. Where from a distance, the area looked like a dead patch on the landscape. As you draw close, you see that that's not the case. The trees and plants surrounding the mouth of the gorge, firstly, as you look for this specific information, are of a kind of a different variety than what is in the rest of this valley. Almost as if as you like enter into this region, there's like a different set of local fauna or local flora. The trees and plants surrounding the gorge are not dead, as you had believed from a distance. You'd have a hard time calling them alive either. The bark on these sort of stubby trees is blackened and gnarled, almost as if it like was burned. But you can see a steadily weeping viscous fluid coming from cracks across the surface of the trees. The grasses and the flowers are likewise sort of brown and look for all intents and purposes dried and dead, but they nod and sway ever so slightly as if from a breeze that is undetectable to you guys coming from the gorge ahead. Make perception checks for me. All of you.
I'm about to like possibly try to scrape off some of that fluid.
Yeah, I was going to...
15.
Ooh, nat 1.
15.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm going to do my check my importance
Okay.
first.
25.
Okay.
10.
10. So a 10 is your best. A 25, how'd you do?
19.
19, you were a 1, right, Walter?
For what? For perception?
For a perception check.
Yep. Flat nat 1.
Fun.
No bonus.
And how was yours?
50.
15. So everybody but Walter. More bizarre than the flora are the glimpses you catch of the fauna. You see what at first almost looks like a sculpture of a small bird on the branch of a nearby tree. At least you're fairly certain it's supposed to be a bird. The entire form, only about this big, looks as if it's comprised of a solid lump of some sort of charcoal-like substance. While it is vaguely bird-shaped, it has a second head protruding from the first. One of its legs is like forked, and like another leg is like sprouted out of the first leg.
We found Chernobyl.
Its wings are sort of spread as if it's about to take flight, but there's at least one extra set protruding at these strange angles. It basically looks like somebody took several statues of the same bird and just mashed them into like the same occupying space. And as you're contemplating this weird statue-esque image of a bird, you're caught by a bit of a start as it like takes wing and flaps in this weird zigzagging pattern away from you and out of sight.
Yeah, I was too busy like trying to like get at the this weird sap with a dagger.
You come across something else in the form of like a bunch of snakes that look like they're trying to occupy the same space. All in that same sort of dusty, solid coal-like substance. It slithers off under a rock as your group approaches.
We can just tell the wizards we didn't find it and go back.
No, we're here.
It's kind of cool looking. I don't know.
We're
That's
gonna.
magic.
Sure. The entire field of your vision illuminates with magic, but it is not a school of magic that you are familiar with or have ever witnessed before. Somebody said Chernobyl. Envision it like the entire area is like irradiated with some form of strange, unique magic that you've never encountered before. And
Fidget, what do your goblin eyes see?
Everything is lit up with all kinds of weird colors.
Yep, we couldn't find this place. It was too difficult. We need to go back.
And as he's seeing that, you guys almost, even without detect magic, like feel like you can almost see what he's talking about. Even the air here is weird.
I thought you were a paladin of the Radiant Order.
I'm a paladin of...
Not dying.
It's not that there's an odor or like a visible
Sounds like a paladin
haze.
of chickens to me.
The air seems stale, and out of the corner of your eye, you see the wavering mirage-like effect above the ground that you might expect on a hot day. The current temperature is not nearly enough for such an occurrence. The opening to the gorge lies ahead of you.
Well, there is an Invarian ruin in here. Chances are, nobody's visited it, which means it could be all kinds of knowledge here.
Paladin of the Radiant Living. Sounds good. We can go back. Last chance.
Alar's already heading in. He's drawn his rapier, but he's heading in.
He's got dollar sign eyes.
No. It's more like whatever sign for history and knowledge is.
It's dollar signs.
That too,
It's always
but
dollar.
it's
Like the
primary.
British Museum says dollar signs.
It's primarily what happened to this place. Maybe maybe there's some knowledge to find.
Alrighty, so is everybody following behind him? Is anybody having to drag Nula? What's our procedure?
I will say Scooter has probably taken up residence between your horns. He's not happy about it either.
I like to think.
Are the familiars being affected by this area at all?
Don't seem to be.
I like to think that we
Not
had.
any more than you are. I mean, they're not happy. They, clearly are like...
I like to think that we had that exact moment from Wizard of Oz where Nula's like, "Somebody pulled my tail. You did that yourself."
Yeah, I guess I'll try to be like mid-pack.
This is where we're supposed to be.
I have to imagine that
doesn't mean
Morgan
we
on
don't-
one side and Scooter up here. Not happy.
It's where we're supposed to be. Doesn't mean it's not also where we're supposed to grow third arms.
Scooter's got to like Ratatouille Nula to like
Yep.
victory.
Fate does not give us things that we don't need.
The wizards are gonna buy the town out of sugar when I get back.
That's
Alright.
optimistic of you.
Entering the gorge itself is a simple enough matter. The slope is pretty delicate, heading down progressively like below ground level. As you enter, you might note the walls on either side, almost 8 feet across from each other, are rough stone and shale, soil long eroded away from the upper levels. You descend roughly 60 feet in elevation over several hundred yards. Eventually, above the lip of the gorge, the tall rocky cliff faces of the mountains that form the back of the valley behind you close in on one another, and you find yourself peering up as if from the bottom of a deep, dark pit. The light grows dim as the sun penetrates down through only the narrow gap between the rock high above. Permanent twilight making it difficult to see for those without dark vision. Eventually, you reach the far end of the gorge. Roughly 50 feet ahead of you, the walls on either side come together, creating a dead end. The only feature you see is a small pile of rocks and a crevasse in the floor at the very back of the gorge, 20 or so feet long and disappearing downward and back into the wall.
This is my spot. This is where I fit.
Okay.
To give you a visual representation, I didn't make a player map for this one. I have player maps for the rest of this, but this is what you're looking at. Don't read any of that. It's essentially like bleep bleep, and then there's this crack in the ground that like disappears down into the darkness ahead of you.
I'm going to. I guess I'll light a torch.
I will break out my grappling hook. Test the ground near the crack.
Seems like you can probably wedge it in there pretty well. Okay.
Tie off a rope.
I can.
Reach back. Nuala, who's probably still doing this, grab Scooter, stuff him in my coat.
I can arcane eye this before we go down to the deep dark hole.
That's a good idea.
I offer my hand out and allow Scooter to come back and pout continuously.
So you've thrown what length of rope down?
50 feet.
50 foot of rope down. Okay. You have a torch near this entrance, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were gonna arcane eye.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
IDDQD.
So what is the what are you doing exactly? Let me open that up.
I create a magical eye within range, an invisible magical eye within range that hovers in the air for the duration, which is up to an hour. I receive visual information from the eye, which has normal and dark vision out to 30 feet and can look in every direction. As an action, I can move it up to 30 feet in any direction. There is no limit to how far away from me the eye can move, but it cannot enter another plane of existence. A solid barrier blocks its movement, but it can pass through an opening as small as an inch in diameter.
So you're easily able to like pop this at max range down this crevasse and then start going down. Cool. So once again, I forget how we described this the first time. I want to say Fidget like put a piece of cloth over his eye, and then like all of a sudden there's like this light glows from behind one of his hands beneath this cloth, and Fidget all of a sudden you sort of get the weird split vision of like seeing out of your own normal eye, and then where this arcane sensor appears. On either side of you, you sort of like rotate it around. You're able to look up. You see the group of yourselves like looking over the edge. You rotate it down. You see just steep descent, and you begin moving it downwards. You head down. I think you start at 30 feet, right?
Yep.
So you head down further, 40 feet, 50, 60, 70. 80 feet. You keep moving. It keeps just going down, 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 down. As you get to about 90 feet down, you guys up above, including you, Fidget, you hear something. You hear from somewhere way, way deep. You hear like...
Oh boy.
And Fidget, as you continue moving that arcane, you get to about 100 feet down, and something streaks past the arcane eye. It goes too fast for you to be able to get a look at it, but you glean the following information. It is like stark white, it is extremely fast, and it is very large.
Great.
That is what you see, and you guys hear something very, very fast is like ripping up this crevasse towards you. What do you guys do?
I back up a few feet and draw my rapier.
Gonna pick up Fidget while he's like warped into this eye and then move him. Unless you're physically capable of moving while you're doing this. Are you incapacitated while doing Arcane Eye?
I don't think you are.
I just have to concentrate on it.
Okay, so
I'm not incapacitated.
It's just a disembodied eye that you can wander around with.
So the thing that you saw is like, trying to think of what a comparable sized thing in Fidget's experience would be. In like the rest of the parties, if you had been with the rest of the party longer than you had been, like I would have said, like the owl bear that they fought, is bigger than that.
How many Osriuses is it?
Like
Several.
Like 2 Osriuses in a horse costume?
You're pretty sure this thing could, like, crush Osrius.
Are you relaying any of this information back, or am I just going to, like, jump back 30 feet in terror anyway?
Fidget is probably stumbling back and going, big, big, big.
Alright, okay, so I'm going to go about, like, 30 feet away, or as far as I can reasonably go, like, from the opening.
Okay. Yeah, you guys essentially have, like, 1 action worth of stuff you can do.
Okay, I'm backing up and casting invisibility.
Okay.
So I'll get, hoping to get 1 free shot at this thing.
Dash as far away as possible.
I'm also going to dash, go 60 feet.
Okay. Alright, so you 2 back up 60 feet, you back up 30, and isn't your invisibility self?
Yep.
Okay.
Smite it back down to hell. Smite it back down to hell.
I was gonna do bless on 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Sure.
You might want to bless the goblin.
Does it count?
Oh no, you know what? No, that's probably accurate. Yes.
Their attack rolls and saving throws.
Okay.
It's not.
So Nula, Brom, and Walter all get bless, or were you doing Alar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. What are you doing, Fidget?
Fidget is going to cast Jim's Glowing Coin.
Okay.
So when this thing shows up, it's going to make a wisdom save, and we're going to try to make it bad at
Cool.
initiative.
Alrighty. So. You guys back up. You get ready. Fidget yells out, big, 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 big. And Nula and Fidget are right. You guys are right near like the mouth of this crevasse. The 3 of you have like wheeled back a certain distance, and from the moment you see it like breach the surface to the moment that it's like already out and on the ground is so fast that you almost don't perceive it. What comes up out of that crevasse is, to use it's about 1.5 owl bears big. It is nothing like anything you've ever seen before. Comes to the ground. 2 massive, muscular, powerful, clawed forearms hit the rock in front of this crevasse. These arms like lead up to this massive, like hulking upper body. These huge, like broad, wide shoulders, barrel-chested. Its head, there's no discernible neck. It's basically just like this head set atop this like hulking mass of muscle is a vaguely canine bleached white skull. For all of its like girth and size and power up front, the back of it, like towards its hind legs, like tapers off and becomes very small and is basically nothing more than these 2 like limp, crumpled looking hind legs that it like drags on the ground behind it as it comes up. It is, as Fidget saw, pure white. And as you look at it, you have like your vision, you have a hard time sort of perceiving this thing as either 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional, as your perception keeps switching. All surrounding is this strange sort of crackling black, almost static-like energy that seems to suck in all the light around it. It doesn't move very much after it comes out and lands. It takes 1 step forward towards you. And as you watch it move, it's almost as if you were like blinking very rapidly and missing every other like frame of its movement, as it doesn't move normally. It's sort of like you see it lift its foot and then like the foot's already been placed forward. It stares at you guys as you stare at it, and it just goes, and then it attacks. And that's where we'll call an end to tonight's session. So,
What in the cartoon hell is this thing?
It's like strobe light. That's
It's
the
kinda
word.
like the-
Sort of like.
It's it sounds like a displacer beast of some kind.
Mm.
Not the classic displacer beast, but
It sounds like something from Bleach.
It sounds like the demon version of
The bulldog from like
No.
Hanna-Barbera.
of the dog Herbert from Family Guy, his old dog with the like that drags its
yeah,
legs.
actually, kind of.
Kind of like that. Like
It's
the hell
very,
version
very
of that.
similar in like the front of it is like this hell monster and the back of it is like these crippled, smashed legs. So that is where we're going to call an end to tonight's episode. I'm quite excited for this next week. So if you are still with us, thank you for joining us for tonight's episode. Tabletop Legends episode 35 or 36, Werewolf Diplomacy. You guys are working on your golden D20s. If you at home have a vote for a golden D20 for somebody for tonight, anybody that did something particularly funny or cool or inspired or creative that deserves a free natural 20 on any roll of their choosing during next week's session, you can put that vote in the chat, and in the event of a tie, the audience gets to break the tie. I would like to sort of apologize to our sponsors who didn't get their full shout out tonight. Little Dragon Corp, Marble Moon Studios, and the Eighth House. As I was really trying to do the werewolf thing as the first half of the show, and then get into the Scarred Land stuff as the second. But there was a lot more werewolf deliberation than I was expecting. So, and by the time that was done, I figured we might as well just run it through to the end. So once again, thank you to Little Dragon Corp. If you type exclamation Little Dragon in the chat at any point, you will get a link to their website where you can shop for all sorts of dice and tabletop fun stuff. And you can use the promo code PROBONUS to get a discount on your order. So let us rattle off these votes.
My vote is for...
I have a vote for Walter, for Pits. And I believe that says... Oh, and pit fighting. Pits and pit fighting. Walter, for epic pit powers. And then there's a little diagram of like a pit cylinder with a little... What I assume is supposed to be a werewolf.
Dog. Wolf.
Forgetting that they were, in fact, tigers. Brahm, you know what you did.
That could be a lot of things.
I don't know what Brahm did, but you know what you did, Brahm.
The ska joke.
it was either that or the Vic joke.
Like a lick joke.
Oh,
the
yeah.
finger, the middle finger's going invisible.
We have Nula for Scaradin, which I suppose is paladin, but a coward.
A cowardin.
Scaredy pal.
We have Walter for D&D Ska Band, which I believe with 3 votes makes Walter the recipient of our golden D20.
Please
I was-
stop.
At least it
was-
wasn't for pooping yourself this time.
I was actually happier to receive the one for pooping myself
Than Ska
than
Band?
for ska.
Alrighty, well.
But, I think DM Michael.
What was it? It was something suppository.
Mighty Mighty Boss Downs for background music in the next battle. Everyone skanks while rolling initiative. So, you're welcome, everyone. That might happen.
Honorable mention to pick it up, put it in.
That was on my vote. It was the drawing that I attempted to do was the ska guy, but it was just a terrible.
Oh, I didn't even notice it was there. I think my finger was over
it. It was so tiny.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. We will be here next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we properly kick off the core of this little adventure arc, the Scarred Lands. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.